Live from beautiful downtown Bastrop, it's time for the Stage Select, starring Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
What could this possibly be? Seems a lot like a podcast. Wonder what specifically talking about video games. With your hosts, you're in good hands, not more of the same. Now we'll jump right in. So expect the unexpected and more. Now we'll get grooving. Never know who's gonna walk through the door. There just might be some treasure in this chest. Having fun with a special guest. Time for Stage Select.
With special guest, Bill Tucker. And here are your hosts, Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
Welcome, one and all, to the Stage Select. I'm Julian Titus.
I'm Justin Ham. I didn't make up a name this time because Julian was upset about it, so I didn't do it.
I appreciate that, actually greatly, especially after the week that I've had, but we'll get there.
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to be a gooder citizen, a more good citizen, and, you know, just have respect for you.
Okay, now I feel like I'm walking into a trap, but that's okay.
No,
I'll take it for now.
If there's a trap, I'm too stupid to realize it. So you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're a video game variety show, and we are joined by a very special guest, a friend of the show, the great unifier, Bill Tucker from A Gamer Looks at 40.
Hey, what's going on, guys? The great unifier. This is a I don't know. This is a moniker I've never had before. Why the great unifier?
Why not?
Because you bring people together, Bill. You bring people together.
That works for me. Okay.
We, through you, we are now in touch with Joe and Vito at Perfect Storm Gaming. We are now, tight with James and JJ at Retrofits.
Yep, two good dudes.
And, I want to say that I might have, gotten into, the well-read mages kind of area of the internet because of you. Because I think you were probably following him first, and I think I saw, a post that you liked of his that showed up in my feed because you liked it, and I fell for the Chrono Trigger trap where it was like a list of Final Fantasy games and he had Chrono Trigger on there, and I fell for the bait. Yep. So I think that's how most people end up getting to know Moses.
That's how most people get to know him. He's a bit of a provocateur. He likes to rabble the rouse, to rouse the rabble as a rabble rouser.
Yes.
So. and I was introduced to The Great Mythalic through you guys, and I had him on my show probably a year and a half ago at this point, and it was for Ocarina of Time because he has a lot to say about it. I sit down with an interview with Mike.
He has a lot to say about most things.
He does, and we talked about almost everything but Ocarina of Time. It was just this rambling thing.
That'll happen.
And it was the first time I've done an interview with somebody for my show where I walked away going, what do I do with this? I don't know what to do with this. I talked to this guy for an hour, so I just released it. I was like, it was a fun conversation, so I just released it as was. Don't try to tame the madness. Just let it ride. Yeah. And it was fun.
That's about right. Yep.
Well, you'll notice, Bill, that when Mike Fallick was on the episode of his episode of the Stage Select, I didn't feel the need to throttle him by the end of it because this show is very freeform, so I can just let him run. Unlike Nerds Without Pants, where there was a format to try to stick to that he was, just habitually not wanting to stick to. So yeah, I think obviously he's going to be on many more times over the years, and this is a much better format to just let him do his thing because it doesn't matter, right? The variety is the spice of the Stage Select.
Beautiful,
so,
that's great. He's awesome. I love Mike. He's an interesting person, interesting character, and he's very, very good on air. Very good. So yeah, good dude.
Yeah. And actually, on that note, quick show announcement, or a little housekeeping thing. Justin and I were on Retrofits YouTube channel again with James and JJ. I don't know when those episodes are going to start releasing. It's probably 3 separate episodes, I would imagine, because we did 3 games. We did Wu-Tang Shaolin style as Justin's request. And then some trombone hero or champion. I forgot the name of that game.
It's Trombone Champ.
Trombone Champ, yes.
Yeah.
And then a third thing that I'll keep secret because I feel that James wants that secret.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of fun. I really like those dudes. Like I want to hang out with those dudes, like for realsies. They're some fun guys, and they were great when they came on the show. We'll definitely have them on again.
Oh yeah.
Also, if you're not already checking out Retrofit's YouTube channel, you need to watch their Quest 64 series because James forgot to record the game audio, and he's just doing like actual Foley work. And I so admire the commitment to the bit because he's actually going in and for every spell he is dropping in like a thing that he created, and for every spell, every attack, every like victory, thing, like it's insane. Like I can only imagine how much work that's taking him. So go give him some views because the poor man deserves it.
Yeah.
This is the sound of fire. That's all you need to know. Other quick thing. I don't usually say the episode numbers when we start the show, but this is the 13th episode that we're recording.
Oh, okay.
And I only say that because if the Phantom of the Stage Select wanted to strike, if we do have a Phantom in the auditorium, this would be the time that he would choose. And I already have a bad feeling about this. So I'm just putting that out there. You, the listeners, already know, because if I had a hell of a time editing this, then I've already put a thing at the beginning of the show letting you know what the hell happened. But right now we don't know. So, it could be like the chandelier could fall. We have no way of knowing. So, just putting that out there, for.
I'm not worried about
it. Like a PSA. But yeah, I think that's it for show stuff for now. Bill, I was going to say it's been a while since we've spoken, but that's actually not true. We've actually been speaking quite a lot lately.
We've been talking a lot lately, Julian and I. So it's been great. It's been great, man, as we prepare for Final Fantasy. You're a fan, good sir.
Am I?
Yeah, I would say you're an appreciator, maybe. Because I almost feel like fan these days is almost a bad word. Like, don't call me a fan. Yeah. I like a thing, but I'm not obsessed with a thing.
That's the thing, though. I am obsessed with Final Fantasy, but here's the thing and this series is becoming very cathartic for me.
Good.
Because I am starting to have to really evaluate a lot of things about myself. And after Final Fantasy 16 last year and, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth this year, like I'm having to start to have this like real, like soul searching moment where it's like, am I actually not a fan of Final Fantasy anymore? Like if I finally reach that stage where I go up to a certain point and I'm like, here, and then everything else is like, because I'm enjoying Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. I'm not loving it. Clearly, I haven't gone back to it in a couple months now. Really was very cold on Final Fantasy 16 after being so excited for it.
Yeah.
It ended up being ultimately quite disappointing for me. Because I definitely see, but it's a complicated thing, right? Because I'll when I'm getting excited for a Final Fantasy thing, I'll end up invariably consuming Final Fantasy YouTuber content. And Final Fantasy YouTubers are they've drank the Kool-Aid so deeply that they're like Final Fantasy can do no wrong. To me, it's like it's very healthy to be able to like love a thing, but also be able to acknowledge the faults of that thing, right? But I don't know. It's definitely been, especially listening to like the other interviews on your Final Fantasy series, Bill. Like it's like, oh man, I got nothing on these guys. Like holy shit. Like,
Well, it's just different perspectives, right? I mean, and that's kind of what I'm always. I'm always aiming for different perspectives, and that's why, for my show at least, I like talking about people's memories and recollections, even though nostalgia can be a dangerous drug. I actually do fully agree with that. It's something you can't argue. Like I can't argue with your memories about how you felt when you played Final Fantasy IV for the first time. So I think a lot of the internet and discourse is a bunch of arguments where no one's willing to learn from each other. So my show sidesteps that, and we tried to just talk about why we like a thing. And So and that's probably why my show is pretty niche as well. I can imagine a lot of people think, well, it's just a bunch of old guys talking about how much they like a thing. But actually, I feel it's kind of unique in this world where we're all kind of like arguing about why this works, that doesn't work. So I don't know.
Yeah,
kind of what I chose to do.
No, and I told you this off Michael, I think last interview or maybe the interview before, but I actually lately I've come to really realize how important your show is because like a lot of, we're getting to a point now and we're getting to a tipping point where a lot of early video game history is about to just be lost.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're getting to the point where like some of those early creators are dying off. People aren't talking to them. They aren't getting their stories out. But also the people who played those games when they were new are also going to eventually start dying off. And I think it's something very important and very powerful about getting memories, right? Recollections, not the actual, because obviously, as you recall things, you recall it differently and sometimes wrongly. So,
which is fine.
But at the same time, it's like, here's this nice oral history of Zelda, or, now you're doing Final Fantasy, or just in general, right? And I can't, we've talked about it, and I also mentioned it on the show, but like your interview with Gail Tilden for Nintendo Power was like just kind of amazing because like that's a person that, I would not have expected to have as much recollection, let alone knowledge of what she was working on because she was an executive, and I just assume that the executives, were very like, sky level and not really like in the trenches, where she was obviously very much in those trenches and remembers being in those trenches and still remembers like the properties and the people that she worked with and stuff like that. And like, that's it. That's awesome. That's important, right? Like that's the type of stuff that, I have this, there's 2 video game books that I dream of writing. There's a history of Final Fantasy book that I would like to do. But the other one is, the rise and fall of Silicon Knights.
Ooh.
because that to me is like a story that should be told all the way through. And like, I still find Dennis Dyack to be a very interesting person. I feel that right now he is just like laughing maniacally to himself because we are so rapidly moving towards the one console future that people laughed at him about.
Yep.
But like, it's happening.
Yeah, it is rapidly happening, and it's not great. Competition's good.
No.
Competition's a good thing.
Yes.
We can't just have one thing because then we're just going to get one thing, and that's not good.
Yeah.
That's why you have to run to the indie spaces for things that are actually interesting and fun. But
pretty soon it was just going to be the video game console.
Yeah.
Get the new video game console.
Yeah.
Get the player box. Yes.
But I was wondering, Bill, a couple questions. Now I get to ask you the questions. Doing this Final Fantasy series so far, what has surprised you the most? Because this is a big one. This might be a bigger undertaking than your Zelda one, just from the number of people you're speaking to.
It is. It's interesting because as each one continues, I'm getting more and more people, which is good. I want more voices and I want new voices, but I also want to have the people. I want to have my friends on, right? 'Cause there's certain, like you, for example. Other people, like you all have a spot. Like you guys have a spot and you'll be on almost all the episodes, and that's like a stable. But I also want other people chiming in as this thing goes forward. So I think what's been surprising the most with me is, and I shouldn't be surprised by this, but I guess how important the music of Final Fantasy is.
Yeah.
And how vitally important it is, and especially for the older games. And we've talked about music, and we're going to have one of the last episodes will be a music episode. We're just going to talk about music. Because as a Final Fantasy, as a collective work almost, right? And you can break it up with the different composers and whatnot. But I think it's been surprising how often someone just starts talking about the music when we're not even talking about that topic. And it's been really cool to see what other, I had no idea Tactics had such a big following. I had no idea Tactics was a big deal.
That's
yeah.
That
was on PlayStation, and I never had a PlayStation, so I was kind of out of it during that era. So I never realized Tactics had such a huge following. So now I know I'm going to have a Tactics episode, right? And that's what's fun about doing these interviews is that as I'm doing them, I start writing more episode ideas, and I get them from the conversations that people are naturally having. So it's cool.
Yeah. See, and that's one of those things where I'm like, no, but see, this is where I am obsessed, because one of my pet peeves is when because anytime that people are ranking like the mainline series.
Oh, here we go.
Invariably, Final Fantasy Tactics is at the top of the list, and I'm like, that's a spin-off, guys. That's not a mainline. And extra points deducted if 11 and 14 aren't on there.
They shouldn't be on there. They're not fucking bullshit. I don't care if they put a number on them. If you put them online, fuck you. That's not a fucking mainline one.
And extra points deducted if you've also put on like Final Fantasy X-2 and 13-2 and Lightning Returns, because those are, direct sequels to a mainline. Okay, so right? I'm talking about the 1 through 16 titles. That's what I'm talking about when I'm ranking.
Okay, so the sequels to the okay, this is chaos, Julian. This is chaos. You're just chaos, objectively wrong. This is insane.
I'm Jack. My mission is to kill Chaos. That's all I know. When are we gonna fight Chaos? All I care about is seeing Chaos dead. Looks like Chaos has been waiting for us. Chaos. We're here to kill Chaos. What about Chaos? That Chaos doesn't exist at the Chaos Shrine. Just one. Is it true you made a deal with Chaos? Chaos exists. I knew it. I told you. And where there's a crystal, there's Chaos. Come on. Are you Chaos? You told us he made a deal with Chaos. And where did this desperate urge to eradicate Chaos come from?
Full and complete madness.
But Tactics would actually be at the top of the list if I was actually including.
Oh, that's my favorite
if I was
one.
putting that. It's incredible.
I never played it. I'm gonna have to play for this series because again, I have to talk about it, and it's very hard for me to talk about things I haven't played, at least some of.
Sure. Yeah.
8 is gonna be interesting because I tried. I tried with it.
Yeah.
I gave 8
a solid
3 hours, and oh boy, I was not having a good time. And then I realized I am slowly dying, as we all are. I don't have time to really burn. I don't have 80 hours to burn on this. So I think my Final Fantasy VIII episode is going to be people trying to convince me to just play it again. Just give it another try. Give it another, because people love that game and people love. There's fandoms for everything. But boy, oh boy, that was a toughie. I was like, I cannot.
Listen, I as somebody who played that like after, like as soon as it came out and was super hyped for it, I remember even back then, and I was young, like I was like, I don't know, 13 when that came out.
Right.
And even then I was like, I don't think this is as good as 7. I don't like this one as much. It's something about it's not right. Yeah.
I can't wait to talk to you about that one for the interview series, because as divisive as it is and was at the time, it cemented the new era of Final Fantasy in a way that then when 9 comes out, I'm pulling out hair when I still had hair back then, talking, when customers would come in and be like, this isn't a Final Fantasy game. And I'm like, this is the quintessential Final Fantasy game. What are you talking about?
What? This is like the archetype. Are you kidding me?
Yes. Yeah, no, it's been a really cool ride so far.
All I have to say is I'm the only person that I know that owned Mystic Quest. So there you go.
Well, I have
you'd be surprised.
You will be surprised. I have an episode of Mystic Quest coming up, because that was another one I was surprised about how many people had comments about Mystic Quest, and not all of them are negative.
It's not that terrible. It's really not. I always found it weird when like I would hear that about that game. I was like, I don't know, it wasn't that bad. Like I learned what fucking RPGs were from that game.
I love that.
Because I just had to sit there and figure it out for a while. I didn't know. So I was like, this is so weird from everything else I've ever played. I just sat there, I kept going into it and just to figure it out.
There's a lot of cool ideas. There's a lot of neat ideas. The soundtrack's actually really good.
Oh, the music's great. The soundtrack's incredible.
The music's great. I mean,
if you ever look up the guy who made it, it's like this Japanese like metal guy.
Get out of here.
And he just look him up sometime. Okay. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he is a sight to behold. You'll be like, no, that's he definitely wrote that. Yeah, that's him.
Nice.
It's quite good. Yeah.
The other thing, Bill, especially, because I always forget that like you weren't in like the PlayStation ecosystem at the time,
Right.
and obviously there's a big shift in the franchise then that continues to this day. Going back and reevaluating it as you play the games, but also talking to people, have you changed any opinions or perceptions that you had of the series as a whole so far?
My opinion of 4 changed quite a bit. I never played 4 as a kid. I never had it. I had the first Final Fantasy for the NES. And then when I got my Super Nintendo in 92, it was all Turtles in Time and Mario World. And
Yeah.
I was at the age where I was probably playing. I mean, I was kind of at that in-between age where I wasn't really hungry for an RPG. But then Final Fantasy 3 came out. And that, of course, that was a game changer for me. That was a life-changing game for me. So I only dabbled in Final Fantasy 4, and after playing it, and we talked about this, Julian, it's been on right now, as of this recording, I'm almost finished up with the Final Fantasy 4 episodes. There's 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I love how efficient that game is made and how trim and just a trim experience that game, how much I really enjoy Final Fantasy 4, and it ranks really high up there now for me, where before I would have been like, oh, it's fine. It's like, Final Fantasy 4. But for some reason, on the playthrough I did for the show, it all clicked for me. And I was very surprised how like, oh, I get this now. Where when I was younger, I just didn't get it to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably been the biggest eye-opener for sure. And
yeah. It's funny too. And I think we alluded to this, or I mentioned this on your show, but it's such a short game when you actually like play through it. But as a kid, it just felt so massive and never ending. Now, part of that was because, we would always rent it and start from the beginning. But even so, it's like those were week-long rentals. And I don't, we were kids on like summer vacation or spring break or whatever. It's like nothing better to do than play this game. But we never got to the end. Like, and part of that was like, we weren't experienced with RPGs yet. So like there was definitely a thing about, along those lines. But even so, that game is pretty lit. I mean, most of the Final Fantasies are pretty darn linear, and it tells you where you need to go next for the most part. Yeah. And there's really a lot of places to get lost in. So I don't know what the disconnect was there. I guess the only defense I can have is that at the same time that we would rent a game with me and my cousin, we would also rent like 2 or 3 movies and kind of watch those on a loop at the same time. Yeah. That's why I've seen like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Love Potion number 9 and Edward Scissorhands and Career Opportunities like 30 times.
That's accurate. That's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
So I guess that's the only thing that I can think of, unless I'm forgetting that like we had like limited time on the Super Nintendo or something. But it seems silly to me that we never even got close to the end. Like, I don't know if we ever got to the moon on any of those excursions. So, like, I don't know what we were doing. Well, I guess we also played a lot of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat too.
That was big in that era as well. Like, it was the fighting games, and that was a big part of that. But actually, we'll probably talk about games we're playing right now in a bit. But just yesterday, I fired up the original Final Fantasy VII. Because I'm now starting to prepare for those interviews, because I'm like halfway done through my Final Fantasy VI stuff. We'll see how much I get. But I'm starting to prepare for Final Fantasy VII, which, Justin, you are cordially invited to talk about Final Fantasy VII.
Yes,
I know that's a big game for you.
That was probably the game that cemented me. That's probably the only reason I'm here now, because 12-year-old me was fucking blown away and never was the same. So yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, man, definitely. And I played it. I didn't have a PlayStation growing up, so I never played it of its time. I went to friends' houses and saw the beginning, like everyone did, because that was like, hey, I have a PlayStation. Here's Final Fantasy. Here's that awesome beginning. So I played it maybe 10 years ago for the first time on like PS3, like PS3 store, whatever. And I liked it. I was like, this is good. I like this. I didn't connect with it. I played it this was the first time in like 10 years I probably popped it in last night. And I was actually blown away on how good that opening is. That opening is incredible. And from a pacing perspective, from a setup perspective, and I'm playing the Steam version. So I'm not sure if it has like the update. It might have like some updated graphics. It's not the Rebirth.
Yeah, I think it might be like a little bit.
It's HD. Yeah. Like, so they cleaned up that, and they did they didn't go as far as I would have liked, but they did do some slight translation updates.
Believe so. Yeah.
Because that's my big thing is that, like, I never wanted them to fully remake Final Fantasy VII. I just wanted it to be playable on a modern system with a new translation that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like there's so many things in the original translation of Final Fantasy VII that just, like, in the moment it's fine, and then you stop and you think about what just happened. You're like, wait, and it's still that way for me. Like, I've only played the game all the way through once back in 1997, but I have since listened to No One Can Know About This play through it like 6 times.
Right.
And I'm still confused. Like, there are still things where when we get to like the big reveals and I'm like, yeah, no, this is still not adding up for me for some reason. I don't know what my problem is. But it's just like, it's so bonkers. But I will say,
it's the live stream. Just don't worry about it.
Right.
Live
Yeah.
stream.
It's the Force. Don't worry about it. Like,
yeah, basically. It's kind of that.
I think that the setup, it gets more and more like kind of gut punchy the further we get along in our current like way of things. It's like, oh, like, you know, in 1997, I was just like, oh yeah, well, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, like, you know, they're hurrah, you know, but now it's like, oh yeah, no, this, yeah, this is important. Like,
yeah, it's just striking me. Again, I played just that first section, the opening, the Mako reactor, blowing it up, right? Everyone's played it 1,000 times. But just like playing it, like sitting down and intentionally playing it, I was just struck like, damn, this is good. Like, I was trying to put myself in the mindset of like a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old. Like, the first time I saw Final Fantasy VI, I was 14. I was right in the pocket for that. Like, that was right in for me. And then when 7 came out, you know, a few years later, you know, I was starting college and I wasn't playing games a lot, and I missed that kind of whole era. But I just try to put myself in the mindset, what would 17-year-old Bill have dug this? And I think I would have dug it insanely. And it's just, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, okay, I want to get into this. I'm actually going to play this properly. I'm not going to like rush through it. I'm going to give it some time and let it marinate, because it's an important one, and I want to be able to talk really well about it. You know, like actually have that conversation. So.
Hell yeah!
No, absolutely.
Final Fantasy VIII, whatever. I don't care.
Listen, you'll just have to drive. I'm right there with you.
My guests still have to drive that conversation. I just didn't have it in me. I didn't have it in me.
I don't blame you.
I find it interesting, just personally, that the 3 games that I kind of like the least are all very like heavily Nomura led, which is 8, 13, and 15. But they're also the 3 games I'm most interested in revisiting for various reasons. Like 8, I want to revisit for the mechanics, because I know I played that game wrong. Like, I know I played that game wrong.
So I didn't play it wrong. I played it wrong the first time, but I was, you know, whatever age I was, and I had unlimited time. So I was like, well, time to just start over again. Because I just ran into like a brick wall at some point. And I was like, okay, well, I'll start over and play it again. And then I figured out what I was doing wrong and how I was supposed to do everything. But at the same time, like, it's as much as, like, I always remember, like, it's on the bottom tier for me, like, where I'm just like, yeah, I just don't really like that one. But I'm always kind of like, I should give it another shot, though, just for nostalgia's sake. Because, yeah, it's been a long time. So, yeah.
And then 13, like, it's because I actually really do like the combat in that game, quite a bit. I just don't like the story at all. And then 15, you know, well, 15 was kind of not really a finished product. And I don't think it's still, like, there's structural things story-wise that you can't fix because you have to have watched the anime and the movie before the game. And you can't fix that part of it. But I know they did add a bunch of stuff to the game that I still want to see.
They added a bunch of like DLC and stuff like that to that.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
And you get to control the other party members, which was, you know, I thought was missing from the game when I played it. So there's reasons why I want to like revisit all 3 of those games, but all 3 of them are like towards the bottom of the list. You know, when I'm talking about the whole series.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair.
But yeah, obviously, Bill, I would imagine a lot of your free time lately has been taken up with talking about Final Fantasy or playing Final Fantasy or editing Final Fantasy.
Yep.
Which we can definitely talk about. Like, I'm totally down if you want to talk, about stuff that you might not talk about in the actual show. But also any other stuff that you've been getting up to that you want to talk about. It doesn't have to be games, but
yeah.
It's been a little bit since the three of us have talked.
Yeah, man.
So.
Yeah.
So actually, the one thing I've been playing lately is, I don't know if you guys have seen the Fallout series on Netflix or Amazon.
I have not.
I know how well received it's been.
It's great.
Yes.
I'm a big Fallout fan. I love Fallout. And as a Fallout fan, it made me very happy. So I'm glad they did well with the series. It's violent. It's a little silly. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Right.
Tonally at work. Like, it's just, you can tell the people who made it understand the game. And it actually feels like an early Fallout, like Fallout 1 or 2.
Oh, wow.
More than like your Fallout 4 in terms of tone.
Right.
So I really, really dig what they did. But my wife watched it with me. And my wife is not a video game player. She has certain games that she likes. She's a big Portal fan. She likes some of the retro games, but if it involves R1 and R2, she's out. Like, she's like, I don't need those buttons. Those too many buttons for me. But she's not a big gamer person. But she watched the Fallout series with me. And she really liked it. Like, she was really into it. Like, got it. We kind of binged it over a few days. So now she goes, Bill, I think I want to play one of the games. Yes. Hooray. I'm always looking for a game to play with my wife because we don't do that together. And so we started streaming a run of Fallout New Vegas that she is controlling. She is playing. She's never played a PC first person shooter before. So she does never use mouse and keyboard. She's getting the hang of it. And we're having a blast on Twitch every Tuesday night. We go on and play Fallout New Vegas and run around and shoot things. It's so fun, and she's really enjoying it. So that's like the main game we've been playing is New Vegas, which I've had a number of runs on, and I love that game to death.
I've got to ask you, has watching her play this game like revealed things about your wife to you that you were hitherto like unaware of? Because I think games like this are very much like a personality test, and I find it fascinating if I'm sitting with someone that I know very well that isn't necessarily a gamer, or they may be a gamer but they don't play this type of game very often, and I'm like, oh, that's your choice. Oh, okay. And they're like, why? What? What's wrong? It's like, no, nothing's wrong. I'm just surprised.
I'm surprised you're siding with Caesar's Legion. Really? That's who you are as a person. Okay.
Yeah.
No, actually not yet. I'm waiting for it though, because there have been moments where I was thinking she could be like, she's either going to be like a really like I like to play games in that realm, hero story. I like to play them nice. I don't. There's nothing against people who like to play the evil side. I just don't find those stories as interesting as a hero's journey. For me, if I'm going to role play, I want to be a good guy. I want to help people out. I want to do things. I want to like make connections. So I don't want to be Caesar's Legion. My thought was she's either going to be Mrs. Goody Two Shoes or be completely evil and just act out all her life frustrations on the citizens of, Good Neighbor and on the citizens of Novak. And she so far has been very nice. She's been trying to help everybody and choosing the correct ways. But once in a while she'll make a choice. I'm like, oh, like you gave them the snarky response or the jerk response. And she's like, I'm tired of talking to him. But that's good. Like, that's your role playing. Like, you're role playing as a character. That's the fun of this type of game, is making those choices and being okay with it. So it's been fun. It's been a fun little journey of us doing Fallout New Vegas.
I love playing Final Fantasy 14 with my friend Blissy because she's also not a gamer. This is like her first video game. And some of the dialogue, sometimes you'll talk to an NPC for the story and they'll, especially early, because we're early in the game, right? We've just finished A Realm Reborn. So only now are people starting to be like, oh, you're the greatest person who ever walked the face of the earth, right? Like, like eventually you get to a point in Final Fantasy 14 where everybody wants to fuck you. Good, like heroes and villains, like it doesn't matter.
That's fair.
But for a good portion of the beginning of the game, it's all about like, you're just an adventurer from nowhere that is slowly like rising in prominence. And so, there'll be NPCs that will be like, oh, like you don't look like you belong here, blah, blah, blah. She's like, and she takes like personal offense to it, and it's adorable. I love it. Like, I love that video games can do that for people who aren't gamers. Cause like, I feel that way, right? Like, I get very like involved in my games and I do like to role play and I do like to inhabit the shoes of the character. Especially if it's a character that I made myself. But I guess I go in two different directions. Sometimes I am very much role playing as that character. And other times I'm the director, like kind of directing the movie, and whatnot. It's like, no, this is your motivation for this. This is why you would, do like I'm kind of like telling them how to feel instead of it being me. It kind of just depends on the situation in the game. Mm-hmm. But that's one of the things I love about like more modern games, like, 360 era and up, where you kind of have like a lot more of that. Yeah. That sounds really fun.
It's fun. And then the other thing too that I was, go ahead. Sorry guys, Justin.
Yo, you're fine.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm disagreeing. You're good. Go ahead.
So the other thing that I thought was really interesting, I wasn't sure how she would take to character creation. Because I wasn't sure. Because I am Mr. Default 1 or 2. I am find the ball default, throw a beard on him, and call it a day. I never engage. I know, Justin, you're big in the WWE world with your character creation. And fun little very quick aside, my neighbor worked on the WWE 2K4 on the character creation. He was involved in that. So he used so you are using my neighbor's tools to build your characters. Like the hair and all that. Like that was his piece of that game when he was on that game. So anyway, next time I saw him, I was like, I know somebody who uses those tools like crazy. So just so you know, someone out there, Justin Ham.
Oh yeah,
he uses your character creation and he even says like, there's like a whole thing that's involved.
Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
So, but anyway, so I was curious how she would take to the character creation. So she started getting in there, and in Fallout New Vegas, it gives you a lot of control, like how high your cheekbones are and how far apart your eyes are. And she engaged with it for a good 20 minutes. Now, mind you, we're on stream, so I'm thinking like stream, like no one's gonna want to watch. Well, no one wants to sit here and watch us create a character for 20 minutes. Yeah, but no one's really watching this anyway. Who cares? Have fun with the character.
Yeah, right.
So she's going through it. She's making a character, and she's being really intentional about the choices. After a while, she was like, "All right, I've had enough of it." But the one thing she did was, in New Vegas, they allow you to have an RGB value for your hair.
Oh, yeah.
And my wife worked in fashion for 10 years, and she was a colorist. She knows the exact RGB value to make your hair bright purple. She went on her sliders, whoop, 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 222, 185. I'm like, did you intentionally put in those? She's like, yeah, I did. I'm like, so it was actually cool to see my wife like flexing her fashion muscles because she knows exactly what the right Pantone would be for the hair color she wanted on her character. That was the most important thing, the hair color. Everything else was kind of like, all right, we'll just pick from the options. That was pretty cool, seeing her engage with the character creation. But yeah, we're early on still. We just got to Novak. We just picked up Boone as a... are you guys familiar with the game? Or
I'm familiar with it, but I've never actually played it myself. It is my one great shame. I've said that before. I love Fallout. So I don't know how it happened when that game came out. It was kind of buggy, and I only had an Xbox 360, and I didn't have the internet. And I asked somebody, I was like, "Hey, is that one any good?" Somebody that I knew, and they're like, "Oh, I wouldn't play it. It's garbage." And I went, "Oh, okay."
I do remember that story now. Yeah.
And so I never picked it up. And then all of a sudden everybody was like, "It's the greatest one." And I'm like, "Oh, maybe I should have played that one." And so it's sitting in my Steam library, just waiting to go. One of these days.
Mod it to death because I'm going to. Cannot play that thing vanilla. I had like 130 mods running it.
I think, that is one thing I am aware of. So for sure.
Can you imagine what was going on in the Bethesda studios, but especially in Todd Howard's office and surroundings after the Fallout show came out and everybody online was like, I really like that show. What's the best game to start with? And everybody was like, Fallout New Vegas, the one that Bethesda didn't make.
Yeah.
The one that you didn't make, Todd Phillips. Oh, that's so good. You're right. It's so good. Yeah, the one you didn't make as the best one.
It eats them alive. It eats them alive.
I bet everybody was tiptoeing around him for weeks. Like they were just like, oh shit, it's Todd. Turn around.
Well, that's when they released the Fallout 4 expansion pack and the fancy visuals that's going to break all the mods that people spent the last 10 years developing. Just push those out. Don't forget that
it'll be
New Vegas
okay. Don't worry
existed.
about it. Yeah.
So it's that's been fun for us. And speaking of immersive sims, I just finished playing for games my mom found, Prey.
Oh, okay.
From the very sadly now defunct Arcane Austin, which is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That they're now going to be known for Redfall because they made Prey, and Prey is wonderful, and it's an amazing game. And more people should play Prey. More people should play that game. It's so good.
I've tried so many times.
Really?
Yeah, I was going to say Julian hates
much.
it. I was going to say, Julian, explain to the class why you hate it.
Fair?
I don't click with Arcane stuff.
Okay.
Like top to bottom, like I've tried multiple times on Dishonored. I bought the collector's edition of Dishonored 2 because like the E3 presentation was I was like, oh, this is amazing. And I played it and I was like, still not clicking with this.
Interesting.
Prey. Yeah. I've started Prey like 5 or 6 times. I don't know what the disconnect is for me. And also like, I was watching a video about the immersive sim genre the other day because I had not heard that term until about 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
And apparently it's been this known thing, and it's like those are just RPGs to me. Like all these games are just RPGs. Like when Deus Ex first came out, well, not first came out because like I've never been a PC gamer, but when it came out to console on the PS2 and I was working retail, I was like, oh yeah, this is a pretty neat looking RPG, and then I played it and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like I got stuck like almost immediately.
Yeah.
I think one problem for me with these games, and Prey doesn't really hew this way, but like first person stealth, I'm terrible at.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I love like the IDOS Deus Ex games so much is because you go to third person when you're in stealth mode.
Right.
And that I can wrap my head around.
Yeah.
But again, that's not really the focus of Prey. I know you can play Prey stealthy, but that's not necessarily like the focus of the game mechanics.
The biggest problem with Prey is that it's not terribly fun in your hands. Like the combat is not very fun. It's fine. It's very, I would call it like workmanlike, but all the setup around it, all the scene setting and all, again, the immersive sim stuff of all these lived in experiences of the different people on the space station, all these little short stories you can run around. I am just so into that world. But as far as in your hand, it's like, it's not it's a decent shooter. And it's a game that you really you can spec for stealth, but it does that annoying immersive sim thing where if you've spec'd for stealth, you're screwing yourself because you will have to engage in combat at some point. Yeah. Like Deus Ex is a perfect example of that. Like Deus Ex, you can spec for stealth, but that first boss you have to shoot. Like you have to kill the first boss. There's no way around it. You can't talk your way out of it. And it's like, grr, I didn't spec for that. I want to talk my way out of situations. I want to be clever.
Right.
Yeah. And the setup for Prey and like the intro all the way up to like, the first reveal of like, that room is amazing. Like, I've seen it many times because I started the game over.
It's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that, of most of what they do, but,
the one that I clicked with the most, oddly enough, was Deathloop, which is like one of the least popular ones.
I got to get back into it. I tried it. I bought it when I first got my PS5 and I bounced off of it. Just wasn't in the mood for that game. Yeah. We've all had that situation where you're just like, I'm just not in the mood for this flavor of game. And, but for no other reason.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah, but at the same time, even if I don't click with those games, like I always felt like they should have found their audience because I'm not the audience, clearly, but like I can acknowledge how cool those games are and how well made they are and how much like, especially like Dishonored, right? Like the world building of Dishonored is so cool, and like so unique.
Yeah.
And even Deathloop, which was like, kind of seemed like it was like their game to try to make on a lower budget because you have like fewer environments to work with, and it's a loop based game, so you don't have to worry about having this massive area to explore or anything like that. Still has like really cool ideas and a really cool setup and stuff like that. Like very inventive, and that I think I told Justin and I went on Nerds Without Pants when we I think it was the Game Awards last year. Like I was like, Blade might be the thing for me. That might do it. Because first of all, they said the thing that they're like, it's a third person, immersive sim. Like, okay. Like that right off the bat,
that's cool.
Makes it a lot more accessible for me. But also just like, I can kind of like wrap my head around being Blade in that type of game in a way where like maybe trying to like either make a character like in Prey or using or coming up with like a build in those other games like might not necessarily like flip the right switches in my brain. Yeah. But I know what Blade does, right? So like I can actually wrap my mind around that really well. So we'll see. I think even though I said that like it didn't surprise me that Arcane Austin got closed because of like the just the entirety of like the reception of all their games. I don't agree with it, right? Like I feel like all of those games should have been hits. I also feel that way about those Deus Ex games. Like they sold decent, but those games should have sold gangbusters. Like those games
are
are
weird time for them. It's just I don't think the world was ready for it quite yet. And again, I love Deus Ex. It's another series I absolutely love. It's just one of those. I will probably have a Deus Ex series at some point on my show, maybe in a couple of years. That's gonna be way out. I already know. Right. I already know the next 2 series I'm doing after Final Fantasy. So that's all. Yeah. That's already in the brain. So
sometimes I'll just like think of like Deus Ex Mankind Divided, like apropos of nothing. Like no. Just pops into my head, and I'm like, "Oh man,
good,
yeah." I there should be more of those.
Yeah, we need. That's kind of the point. It's like we need more of those and less other things. It's, yeah. But anyway, yeah. Those are kind of the games I've been up to lately.
All nice. Right. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, as a fellow podcaster who has recently undertaken a show that requires a lot of editing, like way more editing than the old show, like I always applaud like the amount of effort that goes into every episode of Gamer Looks at 40. It's so much.
That's a lot. I gotta say, a shout out to my friend Kev and my brother-in-law Pete, who edit the interviews for me. So they without their help. Because basically, when I do these interviews with you, Julian, or when I will do with you, Justin, if it's an interview that's meant to be cut up into pieces for the different episodes, I'll send it to them, and they've been cutting it up for me, titling them, organizing them, and then that way they give me my pieces so I can put the things together. Without them, the show would not exist because there's no way, I have time to like do all of that solo, especially the amount of interviews I'm doing lately. So, so shout out to those guys.
Hell yeah,
for sure.
All right. Well, Bill, you thought you got away from it.
I thought I did.
You thought you did, but you didn't.
It is looming over my head all day.
You see, we know who you are, but it's a new show now. So now it is time for us to ask you 5 questions.
Fuck them.
All right. It's still a good sound clip. I really like it.
It's an excellent sound clip.
All right. All right. First question: who won the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef? Who won it?
Kendrick Lamar won that one handedly. Drake was not up to the task for that particular.
No.
He's strayed out of his lane. His lane is sad boy, self-aggrandizing. Yeah. Every 20th song is decent kind of thing. That's his lane.
That's
he has
about
his lane,
right.
And it's great. There's a few Drake songs that are great.
Yep,
most of them are not. And
most of them are bad.
It's fine. And Drake is just an institution at this point. He's just there.
Oh man.
But Kendrick is a, Grammy Award winning, basically the poet laureate of hip hop now. And he aimed a little too high. They say, they say shoot for the stars. And if you miss, at least, or you shoot for the moon. And if you miss, at least you're among the stars. It's not the
yeah.
case. That's all a fallacy.
No.
That's false.
No.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
Just stay in your lane, Drake. You should not have bothered. Oof.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever. Yeah, no, he actually put something out today about a different thing, and I was like, oh, just stop, man.
Stay down. Stay
No,
down.
He's staying away from Kendrick Lamar.
I would
that's
hope
for sure.
so.
Now he went after somebody made a beat, like a Drake diss beat. I forgot what their name is, Metro Boomin or something like that.
Metro Boom, yeah.
And Drake decided to rap on that, and I was like, oh man, I don't know, buddy. It ain't good. Anyway, but you are correct. I was going to say there is a correct answer to this question, so yeah, you were correct.
He really, after something that like publicly embarrassing, like what he should really do is just go away and live his life and enjoy his money and hope that like the stuff that he has the allegations for, like, doesn't actually catch up to him, a la, Puff Daddy.
Yeah.
Because, like, I remember, like, the Millie Bobby Brown stuff, like, not that long after.
That's always the thing. It's like all the signs are there for what one of them is saying, and you're like, oh, no.
Yeah. So, it's just, just go away. Just, you made the money. Just enjoy the money. Go.
Oh, man. The amount of times I've listened to Not Like Us today is staggering. That's all I'm going to say. All right, Bill, this is one of my favorite questions that I've ever asked. Because if you could ask yourself one question, what would it be?
The first thing that came to my mind was, why bother? That's
right.
That's the first thing that came to my brain. And I don't mean that in like a depressing way. I'm just going to state it because that's what my brain just said. And I'm not going to analyze this.
Yeah.
That is the first thing my brain said was, why bother? I'm going to stick with
I like it. I like it. No, it's a question. It works. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Question number 3. What was that one movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones with the lasers about? What was that one about?
The great Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know the laser movie.
It was. I think Sean Connery was there.
Was he?
Entrapment.
Oh yeah, Entrapment. That might have been the name.
I am not well versed on the Catherine Zeta-Jones library or filmography.
Never saw it. But I remember them marketing the hell out of that movie at the time, and that's why I remember it because
they're the lasers.
Yeah. It's like I think she has to flips over like the laser grid or something when they're trying to like.
So it's a whole laser.
Yeah, there's
a whole laser scene. Yeah. I never knew what it was about because I never seen it, so I was wondering if anybody else knew.
Yeah,
so,
lasers tend to elevate most things.
Yeah,
most
that's
things.
True.
Yeah,
I'll say all, but most things.
All right. Question number 4. How does all this geography make you feel?
All
the geography.
All the geography.
Yeah.
I mean, small, man. Small.
Yeah. Right.
There's a lot of geography out there, and I just don't know if
all these countries, man.
All of them out there that I will never visit because I don't know.
A lot of mountains. It's crazy. I know.
Way too much ocean. Entirely too much ocean. I don't like the ocean. That's a thing.
There's a lot of trenches.
Trenches aren't great either, but I am not a fan of oceans. I don't like water to a certain extent. I think water is very scary. If a wall of water is coming at you, you die. That's it. Yeah. There's no escape. So there's
Bill, I've got bad news for you. There's more ocean every year.
I don't want to know this.
It's rapidly encroaching.
These facts are not necessary.
Yeah. I mean,
just small though, man. Oof.
Yeah.
That geography gets to top you.
It'll do it. And then finally, a question I think is a pretty easy one. What color was Hyunjin's hair in the music video for Stray Kids' Back Door?
I'm going to have to take a flyer and say blonde.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's pink.
Pink. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pink. Thought we all knew that one. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
What are you going to do?
Hey, listen. I took a step.
Next time. Thanks for playing, Bill.
Appreciate that. That was wonderful.
That was 5 questions, and now we all know you better.
Excellent. I
Fuck 'em.
appreciate it. I love it so much. Giving Justin Ham a soundboard or whatever that thing is, that device that you can call those sounds upon.
It's a soundboard, yeah.
It's a soundboard.
We'll
Whatever
call it
that thing is, soundboard is one of the greatest and possibly worst ideas you could have. And at the same time, it's a wonderfully bad idea, and it creates wonderfully bad moments, and I love it so very, very much. That is nothing but a compliment.
Oh, I appreciate it.
It is
I appreciate
fantastic. Justin Ham with the soundboard. I need that in my
I need
life.
that on our back of the box quote. Wonderfully bad, Bill Tucker.
Wonderfully bad, yeah. Yeah. I'll take it.
I don't know if I've reviewed your show yet on Apple Podcasts. I'll make sure I put in wonderfully bad. I try to do that once in a while. Listen, I think we all need a Justin Ham soundboard in our lives, like just in our everyday lives, to chime in with certain sound effects. My life would be richer if I had a Justin Ham manning a soundboard for my everyday existence. So if I'm at a dumb meeting at work, or I'm sitting there trying to, edit podcasts while working, which I promise I don't do that ever.
Right.
Sure. This all happens off hours.
Yeah.
I would love to have just a fuck 'em. I would love to have that just appear.
It's good.
Just for me, not for anybody else.
Right.
Just for me.
Yeah.
So
it's good.
It could be like your version of Obama's anger interpreter from Key and Peele. Blanking on his name now, but Lucius, I think.
Yeah.
But in soundboard form.
Yeah.
Justin, next time that we have a new guest on and we're doing 5 questions, could you please do the questions like James Tipton from Inside the Actors Studio? No. Okay. I would have liked that. It would have made me happy. But that's okay.
No, that's not what I do.
Fine.
No, I'm not, this isn't a bit, Julian. These are things I'm genuinely curious about.
Right.
Well, no, I know. I was just hoping that you could deliver the questions.
I can't do a character there because it's for me.
No, that would be silly. Why would we ever do a character on this show?
No, I can do a character, but not there. That's for me.
No, okay.
I'm asking them for me and everybody else. These are things that I want to know, but it'll help other people too. I don't understand the problem.
It
wasn't a problem. It was just a request. It was just a request.
Well,
that's
denied. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. You should make your own segment. You can call it like 6 questions. You can ask one more question, and then you can ask them more questions afterwards, and you can do it like that. You should do it. No. Now it's a good idea. Now listen, here we go. Okay. Don't do it to people on the first episode. Do it to them when they come on the second time. Then now it's your time to shine. Yeah.
That's a good idea. That's an idea.
Yeah. See? Yeah.
They think they're safe.
But now, yeah. I'm not writing the questions, so that's on you.
Because there couldn't be 5 more questions from Justin Ham. Those are the top 5 that you need. So Julian has to have the next collection.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Get ready, motherfuckers. Julian's coming for that ass.
Oh, man. Justin.
What?
Can we go to space?
Oh, I guess we can do that. I guess I gotta get the thing ready. Hold on. Let's see.
I don't have a suit. I don't have a suit.
No, it's fine. It's
okay.
Oh, okay, cool. Great.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Everybody be chill. Here
don't
we go.
Open the bag of ruffles.
Okay, I need quiet. I need quiet. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry. I need complete silence while we fly because, I can't talk while we're flying, but you guys can, and I find that unfair. It doesn't have anything to do with that we're not on a spaceship, but
Well, you are trying to escape the Earth's atmosphere. I mean, concentration is key. I see.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
Man, it's so nice up here.
It is quiet.
I just like that no one knows what we're going to say up here. Like this doesn't go out anywhere. It's just it's so freeing. Being a podcaster and just being like, I can get my thoughts out and no one's going to know about them. It's nice.
It's you and the stars.
What do you guys think about money laundering? Like how do you do it? Okay, I know like how you do it, but like what it is, like you launder the money, like you know, but like how do you do it? Like how does it happen?
Well, now it's all digital, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just like moving numbers on a spreadsheet around.
Right.
I miss the old, you know, like the classic money laundering, which was putting counterfeit bills into like washing machines to make them look weathered and old.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome. Like I just want to like visit like a mafia boss's like back room where they've just got like bills like drying on a clothesline.
That'd
like that's
good.
badass.
Yeah. I don't know why I've been thinking. Well, I know why I've been thinking about money laundering, but I can't talk about that just yet. I have to be on Earth for that.
Okay.
But yeah, there's been a lot of thinking about money laundering.
It's about the most I know about money laundering comes from that one episode of Breaking Bad where Saul Goodman explains it to Jesse Pinkman in the nail salon. And that's the most I know. And from what I understand, it's about taking money and putting it someplace as a temporary place for it to then go to another place.
Right.
It's kind of putting it through intermediary.
Yes.
Yeah, like you take the ill-gotten money and you put it into a legitimate source,
right?
And you let it sit there long enough to where people forget where it came from originally, and then you move it to another legitimate source, and then when you bring it back around to you, ostensibly, it's now clean.
Proper income that you're going to pay taxes on, etc.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This. So then you get charged for it. There's a lot going on. I
still feel that it's more honest than like a lot of the shit that CEOs do.
Yeah, it's a felony, right? It's definitely a felony.
Yeah.
Right. It certainly is. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. This is important for later.
Yeah.
I need to establish
that's a RICO case right there, man. That's
right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. I'm just checking.
Yeah.
Again, we'll get into this later. Yeah.
Guys, I have a couple things that I wanted to get off my chest out here in space. One of which I remembered it today because I think it came out today. I really wanted to see the movie Mad Max Furiosa because I loved Mad Max Fury Road. Okay. But it's starring Anna Taylor-Joy. Okay. And I cannot look at her without physically recoiling because she has the type of like really large, wide set shark eyes that like creep me out on a very like visceral atavistic level. Okay. And so now the problem is that it's also like a really highly anticipated, highly marketed movie. So I can't open Twitter right now because every time that I do, it's just her shark eyes like staring into my soul. It's her. It's Rainn Wilson from The Office. It's the guy who played Christian Grey in the 50 Shades movies. I can't look at him. There's a couple others where the eyes are so off-putting to me. Mm-hmm. I think she has a brother that was in like one of those young adult novel translated movies that I saw. Oh, no, I don't think I saw it. I think I saw the trailer for it. Okay. If it's not her brother, then he looks just like her, but a dude. Like if you took like the same character model in a video game and just like switched the sex, like that, that's what this dude looks like. And so, yeah, I can't look at him either. And it makes me sad on one hand because I really wanted to see this movie, but also I feel weird for having that reaction because she's considered to be like one of the prettiest actresses, going right now, right? Like she's everywhere. And I'm not saying that she's ugly. I'm just saying that like I can't look at her without physically recoiling.
Interesting. I always remember her from The Witch. That's like I think that's the only thing I've seen her in. I'm looking through her.
I think that might have been the only thing I've seen her in as well.
Yeah. She's great. That's hey, listen, you know what? I think that doesn't make you a bad person. I think it's just what it is. You're owning it. It's good. I think it's fine. Yeah. I never really thought too much about her. I kind of like a character creator where you mess up and you put their eyes too far apart. It's like,
it's 100%. Yes.
Yeah. when you just go, when you go, all right, it happens.
Also, the pupils are just like ridiculously large.
She has very large.
That's the up. Yes. It's very, very scary for me.
That's all right.
Well,
if we're up here for getting stuff off our chest, I think that's kind of what this place for deep thoughts. I have something I'd like to share.
Or weird thoughts, yeah.
Yeah,
This is something that came up the other day. I've been in a bit of a weird thing where you're in a situation where you're kind of playing lots of different games, just trying to find that one that's going to stick. You're like, let me try this.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
it's not sticking. That's not sticking. I really don't understand why in this day and age we have launchers for PC games. I don't understand why everything has a launcher. I don't understand it. I can't fathom a real world need for a piece of software to come up on my computer or my Steam Deck that says, click me to launch the game. Hey, I hit the button on Steam to launch the game. I don't need a second. I don't understand the reasoning for it.
That's a good point, yeah.
And it's driving me kind of nuts with Final Fantasy VII because you have to use like the control layout, the keyboard layout, and you got to do Steam X to make a thing. And I don't know why.
There was a time where it was necessary, right? Because like you didn't have all that, but now that Steam's there, it kind of makes it redundant. Yeah, like Baldur's Gate 3 has its own little launcher.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other ones. Lot of them.
But Bill, I think you're also just talking about like the actual like desktop icon, right? For like any game that you install.
Well, it's not just the desktop icon is fine because that's actually optional. I'm talking about like for example, for BioShock, their BioShock, there's a launcher that comes up. It's a 2K launcher. It has a little picture of Big Daddy.
Gotcha.
It's generally associated by company. So you'll have 2K, you'll have I know Ubisoft has one. Baldur's Gate 3 had one. Baldur's Gate 3 in its defense was more because they had two different like ways to play it. They had like the DirectX thing and the what was the other thing? And Vulkan. Which is so it was like you're kind of choosing between that. American Truck Simulator does something similar actually, where it's it comes up and it's like, how do you want to play this? I'm like, I don't really know the difference between any of these because I'm dumb.
I don't know what trilinear interplacing is or whatever. In God's name. I don't know. Just put the game on, please.
Yeah, 2K, CD Projekt Red has one too because they're just like, well, now you can launch from here and play any of our games. It's like, but I can do that on Steam where I own it. Like,
I already have it. Yeah. We fixed this already. There's already an online there's been a solution for this in place for years. And it's not a big deal, obviously, but it's something I have looked to the stars and said, stars, why do we have launchers?
Yeah, you don't have to look up right now. You can just look out the window. I have. Say it to them directly.
Yeah. They don't ever answer. I should probably ask Sherman Williams.
That would be an interesting question for Sherwin.
I might ask him.
He might. We'll see. Who knows?
Yeah.
Never know.
The other thing that I wanted to say while we're still up here, have you guys seen like the full like the full sized Gundams that they've unveiled in Japan as attractions? Like they just like decommissioned the first one and they opened the second one. I don't know why you would just not have both of them open as attractions and just. Like that's a weird thing to me, but the first one, like the RTX one, is actually like eventually you're not going to be able to go and see it anymore. But there's this new one. I think it's like a Unicorn Gundam or something that just got like they just turned it on like not that long ago.
No, I mean I don't understand why every country is not making their own Gundam and having them fight in a tournament to determine what is the best country.
That's what I was getting at is that I really hope that these, quote unquote attractions for quote unquote tourists is actually just Japan's like stealthy way of developing Gundam technology. And that they are working towards a fully combat ready mobile suit to use in military excursions because If we're barreling towards like mutually assured destruction, let's make it fun, right? Let's make it fucking badass at least.
Well,
can you imagine if there was a mobile suit stationed in Ukraine right now?
Yeah, I mean that'd be fun. I don't know if Japan's allowed to do that for reasons.
No, they started powering up their military again. Like
are they allowed? Okay, all right. So, well, that's good for them. Yeah. But no, just get them all in a tournament and then they'll just settle it. Then they're the best, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it was the plot of that one Gundam show. I can't remember which one
Seed?
it was. No, it wasn't Seed. Oh man.
It's the one that Wooly
up.
hates.
No,
I think
I
it
don't.
is Seed.
No, it's not that one.
Where he had like Tequila Gundam, like there's one for like each like country.
Yeah, I don't think it's called Seed. Maybe it is. Maybe that is the one I'm thinking of because that one's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's fucking hilarious.
No, there's a Tequila Gundam from Mexico. Of course, it's not good.
Oh yeah. It's super funny. I think that's right. Yeah, they're all like super racially stereotyped. It's horrible, but it's hilarious. Like you're like, what are they doing? The American one's like a blonde guy because we're all blonde and have long hair and yeah. So we're all cowboys. I mean that's right. It's all accurate.
Yeah.
Well, I'm done. You guys good?
No, yeah.
I feel much better.
I feel much better. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm glad. That's good. Let's go home. We'll do that.
Okay. I mean, I would totally get in the Gundam. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you probably don't need like physical, fitness to be a Gundam pilot.
No, you probably
back.
do. You probably do, actually.
Probably need some sort of dexterity at least. I would imagine it's kind of like power
Maybe.
armor. I don't think anyone can just pop into power armor.
Julian, they're
go
all
ham.
in good shape and really hot. I don't understand
That's
how you
anime.
think you can't.
That's all anime. Everybody in anime is in shape and really hot, except for the fat guy that's a piece of shit because he's fat and he's also stupid and he's also
and they
evil
can't
for
fly
some
the
reason.
Gundam. So what do you think they're going to make it any different in real life? No.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Man.
I guess I'll go next. I've only got one thing.
Okay.
I played Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga, I think is the thing, for about an hour and a half.
Nice.
It is a game that I have been super excited about since it was unveiled along with the series consoles back in 2019 at the Game Awards. Justin was there when I marked the fuck out.
Yeah.
And it is exactly what I expected it to be, which means that it is highly disappointing. And I need to explain that. So in 2017, Hellblade was my game of the year. And I really loved everything that they did with it. I'm a big fan of Ninja Theory's games, right? Like I really loved Heavenly Sword. I really liked. I didn't finish it, but I liked DMC. I loved Enslaved and Hellblade. Like the first game, like was right up my alley. But it was a game that had flaws that I was fine with at the time because I was like, man, it's really cool that Ninja Theory like took what they're really good at, which is like performance capture and facial capture and stuff like that. That they've always been pushing that, right? Ever since Heavenly Sword, they're some of the best in the business at it. But they pared it down and they said, hey, we're going to make, I think they were the first people to say that, to say the term triple I, right? Because they made this kind of higher end budget indie game for, that took them 18 months with a specifically small team, with a very small scoped game that was centered around a story that they wanted to tell and an aspect of the human psyche that they wanted to tell. Here it's mental illness. And they knocked it out of the park. Like it was great. Right. Like I thought the story was great. I thought it looked really good. And like, I actually really enjoyed the combat while also acknowledging that the combat was rather shallow and probably like one or two mechanics away from being something actually great. And also the puzzles were like, there were like two flavors of them and they were both kind of meh and not really well fleshed out. But the whole time that I was playing it, I was like, but they made this in 18 months with a small team. You know, like it's a very focused thing. Like, you know, like it's getting the job done, and I don't need any more. But if they did do more, like they should definitely flesh out the combat, make the puzzles, you know, a little more interesting, you know, and focus on the game play part of the game. You know, they already had like the, you know, the style and the look and everything and the sound down. So like they shouldn't have gone that hard on that. Flash forward 4 years after they start developing Hellblade 2, and it is the like best looking game that I've ever seen. Like it's got all the graphics. It's got the most graphics.
Right.
But imagine my surprise and dismay when I get my sword and I'm like, oh, the combat is identical. Like nothing has changed. And then imagine my dismay and chagrin when I get to the first puzzle and it's like, yo, here's this symbol. Go find it in the world by like lining up these disparate pieces of environment and making it whole. And I'm like, oh, you just did it again. You just did it again. But you spent 4 years on it and what looks like a shit ton of money it looks incredible. Like, you know what also looks incredible? Like most games that, you know, aren't on Unreal. Like, you know, it's cool. You know, it's one of the first big Unreal Engine 5 games, and I've been waiting for the Unreal Engine 5 games to come out. I think in this case, like that was probably money and time that they didn't need to spend, because I don't know that it really gets you any further in that direction on this particular game. I will say though that maybe I'm wrong on that, because I am not a squeamish person, right? And like I'll play, you know, like I've seen a lot of people our age on podcasts getting increasingly more hand-wringy about like violence in video games or gore in video games, and they're like, I can't take it anymore. Like I don't like, you know, but like blah blah blah. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm fine. You know, like the recent Mortal Kombat games, I just think they're kind of lame, because I think at a certain point, like the choreography on the fatalities is kind of dumb, but I'm not the actual gore of the fatalities doesn't bother me. It's more of just like, I mean, you already killed him like 3 moves ago. Like at this point, it's just, you know, pointless. That's kind of my thing with it. Hellblade 2's combat has just in the hour and a half that I've played, has made me visibly wince multiple times. And it's not a bloody or gory game. It is just, there is something about when she takes a sword and jams it like in the collarbone of someone and puts it into the hilt. Oh yeah. I'm just like, oh, that just looks bad, you know, or, you know, she does like a parry and then on the counter just like slides it all the way through that dude's ribs. And like this, you know, the actual blade of the sword isn't there anymore. It's just like, oh, God damn, you know, like that is effective. So maybe a big part of that is how good the game looks, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And, you know, I picked up a headset for my Xbox. Actually, my work friend Kale recommended one to me, and it's really good.
Nice.
It does make me wish that this was also on PlayStation, because while I like this headset, it doesn't have quite the oomph that the 3D headset on the PS5 does. And this is very much a game where, like, you know, you want like
that atmosphere,
that really good. Yeah. And it's doing it again. And I will say,
yes.
And that is definitely a thing. One of the reasons, I'll get to the second reason in a second, because I don't have much more to say about the game at this point, just because I haven't played much. One of the reasons that I put it down so quickly is, so when Hellblade 1 came out in 2017, that was like 2 years after my mom died. And it was affecting in the sense that, like, you know, it was very much dealing about grief, but it didn't get to me like it probably could have.
Yeah.
But then, you know, like a pandemic happened and like deep depression happened, and my brain is much meaner to me in 2024 than it was in 2017. So playing a game where the character's brain is also mean to them ended up being extremely affecting in a way that was very uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
Where it was like, oh no, this is just like my brain all the time, but now it's like in stereo and amplified. Like this is rough. And so I put it down.
The audio stuff that they do with at least the first one, I remember, like that shit was like crazy to listen to.
Yeah.
So yeah. Can I ask a question? What?
Yeah.
Not really. What's been like the general consensus around it? Like, if you're aware, because I haven't been paying that close attention to that sort of stuff at the moment. But I was just curious, like, what if like it was like if people were liking it or not?
It's getting like 7s and 8s, which is what I expected it to get.
Yeah, probably about right.
We're at a point now, which is exactly what I predicted, which is that. Because also it's about the same length as the first game, which is like 5 or 6 hours, right? Which I was expecting. But because of the way it has been very front and center for the Xbox since the announcement of this generations of consoles, you definitely have a lot of people who were built up on a level of hype who probably never even looked at the first game, who are like, yo, like, what is this? Like, well, one, because it's like, yeah, it's very short, right? And two, it's like, it's very like kind of like highbrow games as art type of video game, right? And so it is having the amount of pushback that I expected it to have.
Right. I'm wondering, you know what I've been wondering about? I'm wondering if they're trying to go. So I think it was a couple episodes ago we were talking about the whole Xbox thing, and like we got to Ninja Theory where we're talking about like, oh, how long are they going to last, right? And I started thinking about it a little more this week after the game came out, because I remembered it came out, but I wasn't paying attention to really the reception of it or anything like that. And I think I read on something, God, who fucking cares what I read? But it was like, they're gonna make. It's already been approved. Oh, here we go. Welcome to the rumor rodeo. Yeehaw. It was Hellblade. It was like 3 was happening. It was already approved. They're definitely making another one, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. No, all I heard is that apparently Ninja Theory has like 1 to 2 games greenlit with Microsoft already.
Something like that. Yeah. If I remember right, it was like, but Hellblade 3 was like one that it was kind of already in the bag. And I was like, okay. That's interesting. And then I started thinking about that. I was like, if that was true, which who knows, right? If that was true, I wonder if they view Ninja Theory like Sony used to view Quantic Dream. Where they would put where they have like
the big tech showcase.
This is our tech. Like, look at how this game looks. Look at this facial capture, because that's what Sony used to do with Quantic Dream. They'd put those games out there, and then people would play them, and it would be kind of like this reaction where people would be like, I don't care about this, or people would be like, oh, this is really cool and neat. It was one or the other, right? I'm wondering if they view them like that just for the tech aspect, just to have somebody to show, just as a way to show their box off, right?
It's entirely possible.
It's entirely possible.
One of the things, not to relitigate the Xbox, I mean, we'll be talking more about the Xbox stuff moving forward just anyway, but like, especially going into next month. But I think one of the things that I've been surprised about with all of these acquisitions is that it doesn't seem like they're kind of like actively utilizing the strengths of each individual studio to bolster other studios or like share tech or share ideas and stuff like that. That's also apparently been a problem at Square Enix. And they said that actually at this recent like reorg meeting where they were like, we're going to stop having like these teams be siloed off. And I'm like, why did you have it that way anyway? Like, would you to me, it's like, were the 16 and 7 Rebirth teams not talking to each other at all?
Not.
Like, and apparently not. Like, to me, it's just like, like, especially if you're working, so let's say like, like Bethesda and
Obsidian,
right? Yeah. Like, now it's possible that there might be a little bit of an antagonistic relationship there, just because
there has been
history.
One for a while. Yes.
Oh yeah. But at the same time, it's like they are both working on similar types of games, right? So it would make sense to me to have them talking and sharing ideas or tech or what have you, right? Because you're under the same umbrella, you have access to, I would imagine you would have access to resources and personnel, right? But
Yeah.
maybe that's just not the way that like game design or game studios work.
And they're probably, you know, I don't know where they're located at either.
There's that too. Yeah. I always forget about that, but because I always think of like, well, now we have like the ability to work from home. So like, because you know, the other thing is that like after Xbox closed Tango and Arcane Austin, they opened another 2 studios, right? And it's like, why didn't you just move people over? But it might be a location thing, right? Like obviously Tango's in Japan, right? So you know, there's
it's hard
that.
to say. But yeah,
the other. Go ahead. Sorry.
When it comes to like Bethesda and Obsidian, like it's funny because it eats Bethesda alive. I know we were talking about this game earlier. It eats Bethesda alive that people's favorite Fallout game was not made by them. It eats them alive, and they'll never say it.
Nope.
But it does.
Yeah.
And the only way
it would eat me alive, if I was on that team, like, oh, absolutely, I would be pissed.
So highly praised New Vegas, and it was the one that they didn't make, and it bothers them. And they you know, the only way you get like. I would love a New Vegas 2, and I again never played the first one, but like I know that would be a huge thing. People would lose their mind if they were like, "Hey, we're giving Obsidian the rights to it again," and they have the ability to do it. It's gonna take like Xbox being like, "No, you're fucking doing that. Shut up." Especially right now with Fallout and the TV show and everything taken off the way it has. Like it's
honestly, if all you saw was a logo next month that said Fallout New Vegas 2, that would erase so much of the bad blood right now.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say it, but it's true.
I would giggle. I would just, I don't get fanboyish over a lot of things. Yeah. I probably would get very fanboyish over that. I would actually have a little joygasm at that side of that.
I would get excited over that because I think that's a very interesting idea. And I don't even like Fallout, but like I've liked the Obsidian games that I've played, and that sounds very interesting to me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So it's nuts. Which goes into the whole like, why aren't these places collaborating? Like, you know, like it's almost in certain cases like that, it's going to take, you know, unfortunately the fucking consolidation of things to be like, no, shut up, you're fucking doing that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. But because otherwise, no, you never have that because the egos and all that shit involved, which is stupid. But humans, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Strange creatures.
The other reason why I didn't really end up like going back to, because you know I played it Tuesday night, like Tuesday after work when it came out, and I picked it up for like 15 minutes after that, like on Thursday. Yeah. But the reason that hasn't happened on a personal note is that this week at work was like a nightmare. Because of a certain thing that happened that I'm not going to get into details of, I went from having 0 to 2 calls in a day to 10 to 15. And also not dealing with funeral homes like I normally do, mostly dealing with family members, which is a much more challenging phone call for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, you know, I'm not the only one in my department getting tons of calls because of this thing that happened, right? So everybody's getting way more calls. And because of that, the Teams chat is going off nonstop. Because for whatever reason, my department does everything in the main department chat, even when it's just a question for a specific person. And what I have discovered about myself this week, because I actually haven't been on like at my previous job, I had gotten to the point I had ascended far enough to where I was not on phones on active duty, right? Like I was only there for escalation. So there would be like sometimes weeks where I would go without an actual phone call because my team at that point was like very well seasoned and knew how to handle questions and everything. So it was very rare that I would have to take like an escalated call. So like it would just be like kind of silence, you know, especially in the work from home era where I'm just in my office, right? Bliss, right? Like wonderful. And what I've noticed, especially this week, because I had so many more calls, is phone calls, but also Teams messages have the same effect on me as an introvert as like being in a group of people, you know, out and about. It drains my batteries so fucking fast. And also, like, most of the people in my department type in all caps. So, and
Nice.
my brain translates that as yelling.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
I
Yeah,
feel like
that's
I
how
am
it
being
works.
yelled at like
Oh.
every minute of every day, all week, and in addition to all of these phone calls. And by the end of like by the time I clock out, I'm done. I would just enter into a fugue state every evening and just be like. I actually went to a gas station to get some snacks, and like the clerk was talking to like another clerk. It's not addressing me, thankfully, but one of the clerks was like super extrovert man, and I was like, "Oh, this is just exacerbating the whole situation." Like I enter this room and I can just feel the like just
Wow.
like batteries just like draining down to zero.
Right.
And so that's the reason why I have not been in the head like. I just have not been inclined to play anything, but also just not in the headspace for it. So that's another reason. This definitely feels like a game. You know, I mean, it's short, but I still kind of want to like give it its due, and because I loved the first game, and
Yeah.
I've enjoyed what I've played. I should say that like me saying that this is disappointing is in no way a takedown of the quality of the game or my enjoyment of the game. It's just that, especially with the amount of time that they took to make it, and knowing that. You know, what the development cycle of the first game was and the mentality behind the making of that first game, I expected this one to be fleshed out a lot more. Like, you know, there's just a couple things you need to add to the combat to make it like really cool, right? And they've done it. They've done really cool combat before, so like it's not that they're incapable of doing it.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, it's like I don't know what you do to make the puzzles more engaging. I just know that like what Hellblade 1 had
Just
is
don't
not
have them. Just
what
take
you
them
do.
out.
Don't have them. That's really the
Take 'em
answer.
out.
Yeah, I think in this type of game when there's because literally all you have is walk, combat, and puzzle. So if you take out puzzle, you've only got walk and combat, and
Yeah, that's fine.
You know,
That's all you need.
I don't.
Walk, run, combat. That's it. Walk, run,
Well,
fight, men.
I would just insert explore, take out puzzle,
Yeah,
and put in explore. Like, again, a little more like an immersive sim. Puzzles are so hard because I don't know. I don't know many games that do it well unless that's their primary function.
Yeah.
I'm trying
I
to think
hate
of games that do. I don't like them either.
Yeah.
I go back to like a lot of the Zelda games. I really appreciate their
Some of
puzzle
them.
design.
Yeah.
The Soul Reaver games had some really great puzzle design. Some of the Tomb Raider games, like like the first couple, and then like some of the ones before Crystal Dynamics, like the puzzle solving in like the Crystal Dynamics series for like 2013 on, it's way in the background, and it's really only in the actual like tombs that you do as side content, so it's not really like a focus of the game. But like I have really fond memories of playing like those first couple games where the puzzle would be like there'd be like pieces to it, right? Like you're solving this one big puzzle, but to solve the one big puzzle, you're having to go into these other chambers of this tomb and like do other things that then lead into the solving of the big puzzle. I like that type of stuff. But it's definitely not easy. I can imagine that those are some of the toughest games to try to design around, especially as we get into modern, day with like how complex things are.
I encounter puzzles and just go, all right, Google, tell me how to fucking solve this, because I'm not going to sit here and do that.
I am the exact same way. I don't find them engaging, again, unless the game is designed to be like a puzzle game.
If it's a puzzle game, that's different.
Right? Obviously, right? Because
like
I know
like The Witness or something like that.
Exactly. Or Portal or something. But the problem with them is that I feel like when especially in modern games, they have to go, not to say the lowest common denominator. That's not. I always either feel insulted, like, why did you stop my fun for me to do this dumb thing?
Yeah.
Or now I feel dumb because I'm doing this dumb thing and I can't figure it out. And there's a sweet spot in puzzle making where it should be just enough breadcrumbs where when you figure it out, you feel like a genius. Like you feel like you are. That's why Portal is so great. Every time you figure out a Portal puzzle, you're like, oh my, I am amazing. I am. Send me to MIT. I'm fantastic. But I feel like games, they just either. I remember one time I was playing, I think it was Uncharted 4, I want to say. And I was playing Uncharted 4 and was at a puzzle. And Uncharted puzzles are either really easy or completely confounding. There's no in between in Uncharted. So I'm at this puzzle and I'm looking at it. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to get just figure it out. And after maybe 5 minutes, my companion says, "Hey, I think I figured it out. Do you want me to do this for you?" Basically, the game is saying, clearly you don't know what you're doing. You have made no progress in the last 5 minutes. Would you just like to just have the character figure this out for you? And I wasn't sure if I liked that or hated it. I'm like, I didn't know how to feel because at first I was like, yes, character, I don't want to do this stupid puzzle. Thank you for recognizing that I am not getting anywhere with this. You figure it out. Fantastic. And it's built into the story. It's kind of a story. Hey, and the character is kind of being coy about it. Like, hey, stupid Nathan Drake. Hey, I figured this out already. You want to know the answer? But on the other side, I was like, but this puzzle sucks. I kind of wanted to, I feel stupid now. I feel really dumb. So puzzles are really tough in games for me to get right. I agree. You, Justin. I end up usually just saying, I don't feel like engaging with this.
Yep.
Ruining my pacing.
And sometimes I feel that same way. I think it's like you said, Bill. It's like there's a sweet spot, but when I've played games that have that sweet spot design, it's awesome, right? And so I appreciate the attempt more than just not having it at all.
Fair.
But I think to the Uncharted example, I like that better because like there is time, right? Like they gave you time to mess around. As opposed to how it is now where like in God of War, Atreus is pointing shit out to you as soon as you walk into a room, or in Horizon when Aloy just starts like muttering to herself about the puzzle.
Right.
And I haven't even started to swing the camera yet, right? Like I have just like let me enjoy. First of all, let me enjoy the environment. Second, let me take a look and see what's even going on here. And then in like 5 or 10 minutes, if it seems like I haven't made any forward progress at all, then maybe start nudging me. But
and that's what it did. It was nudging like, oh, maybe you should look at this sword, or maybe you should, hey, look over here. And I was just completely flummoxed. I had no idea. I'm just staring at it like, I don't know what you're trying to do to me, game. And the game recognized this and said, you know what? Clearly this is not for you. And at the time, I think I was annoyed because, again, I felt like I was dumb. But now I'm like, you know what? I think that was pretty cool. It's funny you mentioned Horizon because you were saying in Hellblade, the puzzles are like line up things in the environment kind of thing. Is it kind of like those godforsaken vistas in Horizon Forbidden West? I hate those things. Oh, I hate every time a vista showed up where it's like, oh, you have to get up to a certain area to make the hologram match what used to be there. I loathe those. I ran from those. That is not fun for me. So that'll be to the internet I go for that one. Oof.
Yep.
This brings up a good point, and I wasn't even thinking about this when I brought it up, but there's been a lot of like discourse lately about, like the yellow paint in like Resident Evil 4 or, like markings and things like put into the environment to lead players to where they need to go. And I have a couple things about that. One is that like we have gotten to a point in graphics where everything looks so great that it is more and more difficult to suss out what's important and interactable versus just like really pretty set dressing. And I think that's just a matter of like game, like level designers and game designers are going to have to learn a new language of being able to point things out in this high fidelity because, from like Portal to like 4K, they did a really great job of it. Like Valve really kind of pointed the way where it's like, we've got these, there's lights that kind of show you where you kind of should be looking. Yep. We have ways of drawing your eye. And that was kind of the way that things went up until, graphics got to this point where it's like, your eyes kind of being pulled in every direction all the time. Right. So that they have to learn new tips, new tricks that way.
Yep.
But then my other thing is that Resident Evil 1 had the stuff that you needed sparkling so that it would stand out of the environment. Like this is not new. Like the people who are like getting all up in arms about this, it's like, have you played video games? Like,
I appreciate it when you point it out for me a little bit. Again, this is me personally, and I appreciate it. Please make it glow a little bit. I am willing to suspend my disbelief for the ease of recognizing that's the thing I need to interact with, as opposed to be just bouncing around clumsily in a small environment, hitting buttons trying to see if that's a thing I need. I'd much rather give me a little glimmer or something to indicate this is a thing.
Especially when you're first starting up a new game for the first time, because you don't know what the rules of that game are, right? Like, you don't know how this game has chosen to show you things, right? Or interpret the environment. So, like, you know, what works for one game doesn't work for another game, right? So, you know, like for me, like I was playing Crow Country, right? And that one, actually, I'm trying to remember now. No. That one actually, well, it tells you when you can interact with something, but like, there's actually like a lot of environmental stuff in there that you can actually just like examine just for the sake of examining it, and she'll say something about it. And I like that, because like in the old survival horror games, like I would just be like running against the walls in every area, just hitting the X button to see like what was in there, because like even if it wasn't like a like game advancement needed item, I still liked to read the stuff and see like what was going on with the environment and the characters. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. It makes me laugh, but also like, you know, this is another thing, like paying attention to like the development of Summertime Saga, which, you know, is a point and click porn game, like that you would think doesn't really need like a lot of like hand holding or anything like that. But I've heard the developers talk about like, no, yeah, we like, you would be surprised at how difficult people find this, or this, right? So like we have to do this, and this, you know, to mitigate that. And even then, you know, like there's a portion of people who just like, it just does not compute, and it goes completely over their heads, and they're stuck for ages on this one, you know, like story path or whatever, because like they, you know, this hint, you know, just didn't mean anything to them. And, you know, so what do you do?
Brains are weird. Brains are weird. It's it's really what it is. It's just brains are weird, and it's hard to be something that works for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just brains are weird.
Yeah. But that's Hellblade 2. I will talk about. I'll probably wait until I finish it. It's not a long game, right? I'm already like probably like a third of the way through it, even with just what little I played. That. So I just need to have the energy and like the mental bandwidth to, you know, go through it. And I want to be in a good space to do that, because it deserves it. Like, again, first game was my game of the year that year. So like, and I have been very excited for this one, and I'm still excited to go all the way through it. I want to see what this game is. I guess one other thing that I'm a little worried about is that in the first game, I felt that there was like a very reasonable like discussion that you could have about whether or not what Senua saw was real. Right. Because she encounters a lot of monsters and supernatural elements and events. Yeah. And even by the end of the game, even to this day, I'm like, did she go to hell? Or was that all in her head? Right? Like to this day, like I still wonder. And I kind of am getting the impression with the second one that they're just being like, no, supernatural stuff exists in this world, and other people are actually like corroborating what she's seeing. And it's like, I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah. Again, like video games are, you know, like I play fantasy games all the time, so it's not a problem. It just felt like a very kind of cool like thing about that first game, about like what is going on here. Right? What is real? What's in her head? So I don't know how I'm going to feel about that ultimately when I finish it, but I'm still, you know, looking forward to seeing it to the conclusion.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
The Stage Select is made possible through the support and funding of viewers like you. Here are our wonderful patrons.
Justin, before we move on to you and actually kind of towards the end of the show, I think we should thank some patrons.
Okay, that's fine. We can do that.
Yes.
I'm capable of doing that. I know I am.
I believe in you.
Yeah.
You can do it, Justin. Full confidence. Full confidence.
Okay. All right.
Believe in yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Are you
yes.
I'm ready.
Okay, good.
I'm ready too.
We appreciate all of our patrons, but every week we thank our executive producer tier. And this week we have Bookie.
We have Xavier Krager.
We have Casey Curran.
We have Stephen Lobo.
We have David Portnov.
We have Philip P.K. Becker.
We have Extrian.
We have Matt Jorgensen.
Yes, thank you guys. And a reminder that you still have probably another week to vote over on Patreon for the first game for the Suffer Select. Only 4 people have voted so far as of this recording of our 12 patrons. But I'm just saying, you have the ability to vote. Go do it. And also, it only costs $1 to get on there and vote. For a game that you want us to suffer through. Right now,
do we get to vote?
We do not.
Oh, that's bullshit.
I imagine you get to vote if there's a tie.
Yeah.
If it's a tie, it'll come down to us.
Yeah. You don't let that happen.
Don't let it happen.
Yeah, because right now Panda Hero or whatever is in the lead.
Okay,
and
fair.
I know I know Justin said we're not picking favorites, but I know Justin really would prefer to play BB and Tina. And if it ties, that's what's going to happen.
That's fair. Yeah, that's probably it.
You have to control the fate here. The control is in the patron's hands, and that's
right.
They don't care about the story of BB and Tina, is what I'm hearing, and that's fair.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Right. But again, I want to make this thing fun and a success, and you can find the Patreon in the link tree in the show notes for this episode. But thank you very much, Justin.
I wasn't thanking you. No.
I was segueing, but it sounded like I was thanking you.
It did sound like that, and I'd be loath to not point it out. All right.
What have you been up to, man?
What have I been up to? I've been just bouncing off of everything. Yeah, pretty much. It's just one of those weeks for me.
I feel like we're getting close to you breaking the infinite wealth glass.
It's coming. That and there's been a couple things that I've been like, I'm starting to look at that a little bit more fondly. I did do my goal from last week, which was to finish the battle pass on that stupid fucking tennis game. And now I never want to play it or another battle pass again. It was an interesting experience to do. Never want to do that again.
There you go.
Fucking terrible. Yeah, that game started breaking in weird fucking ways to where I have bought a new Xbox controller, not because my Xbox controller was broken, but because it made me think it was. There's some sort of weird fucking glitch that will just happen in the middle of the game sometimes, where it'll just start holding directions. I was like, oh, well, the fucking controller's broke. That's what happens when your controller breaks. It just holds the direction, or it will start holding the button. And so I was like, okay, well, I have a backup. That's cool. No big deal. I'll order another one so that I don't have to keep switching them back and forth because I'm lazy. So I order a new controller and I swap to the other one and it does the same thing. And I'm like, you motherfucker. You motherfucker.
Did you at least get a cool new color?
Yeah, I did. It's pink and purple and it looked cool. It's like the swirl thing. So it'll be neat. But yeah, it's just like, God damn it. But so now I have a backup to my other ones. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep. I booted it up today because I was like, why not? I got nothing better to do right now. And I was just like, I'm just getting irritated the more I play this. And today was the day where I finished the stupid battle pass thing. So I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that
today was the day. I was like, I knew I was like really close, and I was like, okay, let's just do it, just to say we did it, and we did. Okay, but the other stuff I played, Julian mentioned, I don't know if it was on the show or if it was just he and I talking, but
it was in the show.
Okay, it was in the show. I can't remember what's real or what's fake anymore.
Are you Senua?
Yeah, probably. Who knows? But I tried out Manor Lords because it's been sitting in my Steam library for a while now, and I was like, I should at least play it. And I played it for about an hour and a half, and I think that game has potential, but it needs to cook for a little while longer for me to get into it. I think the biggest issue I personally have with it is, first of all, I think it's partially on me because I played another game that's like almost the exact same thing that I liked a little more, but I think I'm just not in the mood for the city builder genre right now.
Is that what you would call Manor Lords?
For the most part, it's a city builder, but like there's probably like, you know, combat and stuff like that going on in there that I didn't get to, because it's very, very slow to start, like very slow. And it just like every city builder, it's gonna like you got to put the work in to get to all the cool stuff that's gonna happen in it. Yeah. Same with the other game that I played.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
It's true. I mean, those are facts. It took them, you know, at least like, you know, 3 days.
Yeah.
The bare minimum.
Yeah, bare minimum, you know. But yeah, like my biggest problem with it is you start the game up and you go, okay, what do you want to do? And there's like 3 different kind of modes. It's like, okay, you can build your city and then you're going to go fight some guys. And it's like, okay, that sounds neat. Or you can just build a city and, you know, manage the city. And I was like, actually, that's kind of what I want to do. So let me go try that out. Just to get used to what the hell the game is to start off with. So I do that. And I'm going in and I'm like, okay, but what do I do? And like, they don't tell you shit. Like, I'm like, you should, what, but okay, what do I, all right. And I'm slowly kind of figuring it out by just clicking around on things. And there is like there is an info thing that I could go read, but I'm lazy. You should tell me what to do. Just show me like the basics and I'm good. Like, just be like, okay, start here, do this next. Because like, immediately the first game that I play, I'm like, it was like half an hour in, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I fucked this up because everybody is starving and I don't know what I'm supposed to do to fix that at this point. It
reminds me of Frostpunk.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, but at least Frostpunk kind of tells you what to do, you know, and then kind of said, and eventually you're like, you'll fuck it up, but after that, by the time you realize you fucked up in Frostpunk and a lot of other city builders like that, like by the time you realize you fucked up, it's kind of too late, but you learned a lot. You learned a lot from that fuck up. And right. This one, it was just like, I played it for a half hour. I don't know what I did wrong, but I know I fucked up. So let's try a different combination of things and see if I can figure it out. So I did. And then I kept dicking around with it. And I was like, I don't think I'm into this right now. I'm just gonna move on along. And then I just looked at stuff on Steam for a while and I could not figure out anything I wanted to play. And so I kept seeing this game called Fabledom. And it's kind of just Manor Lords again, but it just looks like a fairy tale looking kind of thing. It's kind of neat. It had like, has like some sort of romance system in it, which is pretty funny. Like the princesses and princes of other lands will just be like, "Hey, yo, what up?" And you're like, "I don't know." So that I was like, okay, this seems kind of up my alley. And I started playing that, and I liked it a lot more than Manor Lords because at least they tell you what to do, and there's like a little narrator guy. He's like, it starts off with this, and then you do that, and then you kind of build up, and it's more grid based, which I appreciate because like the Manor Lords is just kind of build wherever and do however you want. It'll figure it out. And but yeah, this one's more like tile based, and you're like, okay, I can kind of plan around this. And there's little like places out in the world that you can have encounters and stuff like that.
That's very interesting to me because I looked at the trailer for Manor Lords, and that was like one of the big like selling points was that it's not a grid based like design where you can make like, you know, roads that snake around and stuff like that and not have to worry about it. So I find that very interesting, and I wonder if it's just like a type of gamer brain.
I like a grid. I personally have always liked a grid because I can make a grid make sense to me. But like
I think I'm probably in the same camp.
Yeah, I whereas if it doesn't have that, I don't know, I get paranoid or something that it's not going to work, and they might be, you know, fine. Excuse me one moment. I'm going to go shut my goddamn dogs up.
Well, now I have to leave it in.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Hello, Mr. Tucker.
Yes.
My name is Morgan. I am the stage director for the Stage Select.
Yes.
Now that we are on a break, I understand that you were talking about Final Fantasy.
I was. Yep.
I was wondering, do you know if Final Fantasy has very many poison swamps?
It's got a fair amount.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do all of the people are I've seen people in Final Fantasy. They seem very pretty. Do you find that to be true?
For the most part, yeah, they are. They definitely average around pretty. I think that's what I would say.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I wonder, is there a way that you could transport me to Final Fantasy? It seems like a much more pleasant place.
I've looked into it, to be perfectly honest, and there's no way of doing it so safely now. But I will. I can get you in touch with somebody that can put you on the list when they do finally get that sort of technology in place. We can make that happen for you.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. I would greatly appreciate it.
Oh, Bill, did you kill Morgan again? That's cool.
I didn't mean to. I know it happens, but
it's fine.
It just happens.
He'll be okay.
You did. It wasn't you. Like
I'm sure.
I should say, like,
fair.
I should let guests know that up front.
Yeah.
That if they're talking to Morgan and he drops dead, it's not them. Like it's just a him thing.
Mhm.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, we were having a mildly pleasant conversation. I thought.
Yeah, it seemed fine.
Yeah, I was getting very distracted by Justin's microphone going down slowly.
It's got a fun little hydraulic system. Yeah.
So that may be why he croaked. Maybe he realized I was stopped paying attention just because I was like a fly, easily distracted by Justin's microphone, like slowly descending in frame. It's a perfect visual for the for our listening audience. But
Yep, I have that problem a lot. Sometimes I will just throw this thing up somewhere, and then I'll start watching something and be like, "Oh, right, you got to put it behind the TV because it will just fall back down. It does not stay where it's supposed to."
Well, I got to say, your stage director, I'm glad. Not say he glad he croaked, but it saves me a lot of the trouble and the awkwardness of actually not doing what I said I was going to do. I am notorious for being, "Oh yeah, totally, I'll give that person information," and then just not because I'm a mean person.
Yeah.
I'm very forgetful. And if I don't write it down or be reminded, I can be forgetful. So I'm actually kind of glad I didn't disappoint him.
Right.
No, I mean, he'll remember that, but I mean, I don't really know why he was asking you to transport into Final Fantasy, because I think we're treating him pretty well here. We rescued him from the From game universe.
Right.
So I feel that he should be a little bit more appreciative of the fact that, like, there aren't poison swamps in the auditorium, right?
Yeah, there might be some in Final Fantasy worlds. There are big giant snakes and swamps and stuff.
There's a decent amount. I mean, they exist.
Yeah.
They exist. That was his first question. Was
that was a big part of the interview. Was he was really, like, adamant that there not be any poison swamps,
right.
at the new job, because
I understand
it's been a thing for him.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
I get that.
He's got a little bit of trauma.
That's
fair.
Well, I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
I hope he reanimates fine, and
he'll be fine.
Now that I know he's going to reanimate, and from this experience, I will put him in touch with somebody when that Final Fantasy thing comes around. I will see what I can do.
Don't do that. He's a really good stage manager. We kind of need him around.
Okay, that's fine.
So it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So
okay.
My forgetfulness is okay. Okay.
Yeah. Well, before we continue with whatever the hell I was talking about, it's time for the 311 minute.
Of course it is. It's my
Bill Tucker's favorite part of the show.
My favorite part of the show. I love this.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I have two facts today.
What?
Because I knew Bill was on.
Yes.
And I could, and not only that, I couldn't remember if I already shared this fact or not.
So it might not count.
So it might not count. So Bill, because you're a fan, I was happy you were here because I was like, this is the perfect time. He'll remember if I said this one. Because this is an actual fact. Bassist Aaron Peanut Wills worked at a Shoney's for 1 week as a dishwasher. That happened.
Yeah, you did
said that one.
Yeah.
Good,
Yes.
excellent. I couldn't remember. It was so good that I said it twice.
There you go.
Here's
I
another
like a
fact.
Shoney's.
I mean, Shoney's pretty good. Doug S.A. Martinez does not he does pride himself on being a good listener. He's a very good listener. Is S.A. Martinez, yeah. So tell him what you want to know, and he will make you feel good in your heart.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, you need that sometimes.
You do need it. You do need it. And that's 311 minute. There's been 311 fact. Do it.
Chill. I got every time I hear that chill, that drop, song continues in my brain. And it just continues, and I can't stop it from continuing. So whenever that happens,
Bill, welcome to my
what...
world with every song ever. Yeah.
And I thanks to the 311 minute, I didn't realize how much 311 I've ingested in my life.
Yeah, you'll have that.
And I have to say, I think this show is responsible for resummoning 311 from the depths, like some sort of Lovecraftian nightmare, because I'm pretty confident a couple of days after your first 311 minute, they showed up on NPR's Tiny Desk concert, 311 on March 11th, of course, because of irony.
It's the only way we can fully pay off the bit is to get them on this show. That's the only way.
It might not be as hard as you think it would be. I think
know.
They're very gettable.
I feel like they are,
okay,
and we should probably try at some point. But we have to wait a while because we haven't gone through all the facts about them. We got to know everything.
Well, there's that.
That's fine.
There is that, but also, Justin, 311 or Quad City DJs. You could only book one.
I can book whoever I want. Let's book them both. We should book both of them at the same time. That would be great.
A lot of overlap there.
Screw you and your hypotheticals. I can do them both.
Yeah.
Justin Ham, damn it. I can do them both.
Yeah. One we just have. Well, Quad City DJs require money. 311 might require money too. But, then again, they need somebody to promote that they need money, so we could be that podcast for them.
I think they would be so charmed by the fact that you have a 311 moment and every show you either have a real or fake fact about them. I think they would jump at the challenge.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And maybe to woo the Quad City DJs, we will maybe need to make a Quad City DJs button as well. And then we
what have I done?
We give them the same treatment. We'll think about it. I'll kick the can around. I'll kick the old can.
Is Quad City DJs come and ride that train?
Ride the train and ride it. Yes,
that's Quad City. Why are these memories unlocking? Why? It's all of these.
They also had the Space Jam. Welcome to the Space Jam.
Yes.
Yeah.
That classic.
Classic indeed. Good stuff. Yeah. Oh man, that is the dream, Julian.
I see it on your face.
Yeah,
that'd be so good.
That'd be good.
Very happy.
I mean, at the same time, I want to do like just the Quad City DJs. I forgot what I named it. What did I name it? It was it was good. Do you remember this?
I don't.
It was on the old show.
It was was it the therapy train with Quad City? No. It was oh man, I forget. It was a really good podcast name though.
Yeah, it was good. I'll remember it.
No, you won't.
At some point. No, I won't. It's probably gone forever. Anyway, Fabledom. That's a video game I played. It's good. It's pretty good. I only played it. I played it for about 3 or 4 hours, something like that. I just wasn't in the mood for a city builder, but that one was a lot more charming and more interesting than Manor Lords to me personally. Manor Lords I feel like can be good. It just needs a little bit more time to kind of develop and become like what it wants to do.
That's what I was going to say, because one of the things that I really like about Manor Lords is the story behind Manor Lords, which is that it's one dude who's been working on it for 7 years, and he got like a publisher in the last couple years to like get him the last part of the way, and it's been a big success for him, which is cool. But I do find that like with those types of games where it's developed by like one person or it's like a very indie thing, the tutorialization ends up being one of the last things that goes in because they're so close to it that they don't see that people need help.
That people need, that poor schlubs like me don't have any fucking clue. But a lot of what they see are like the hardcore people that will sit there and put the time in and figure all that stuff out. So when it does get that time and that attention to it, I'll probably revisit it. It might actually, come around for me at that point. We'll see.
It feels like a Justin game.
It might be, but at the same time, and this is the other thing where I was even having this problem with Fabledom was I love city builders from way back when. I got sort of into like City Skylines 2, as big of a kind of disaster as that game is. Like I did have a good time with it to some degree, because I was like, it's kind of like playing SimCity again. This isn't too bad. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I have the same level of patience as I did when I was into these, because for those games to get like where you want to get with them, it takes a while, because you're just sitting there like, okay, I got to put this thing down, and now I get something kind of cool, but not the really cool thing that I can see off in the distance, because that's 20 hours down the road after I've done all these other weird objectives and all this other shit, and then you get midway there and you realize you fucked everything up, so now you got to start all over again. And I'm just like, I don't know if I have the patience for this kind of thing anymore. And that's just kind of where I'm at with city builders in my life. I don't know.
I have a question. Actually, my son, he's gonna be 8 in a couple of days.
Okay.
And so when this comes out, he'll be 8. And he plays games. He plays Mario Kart, and he loves like Shredder's Revenge, and he loves platformers, but he expressed an interest in a city builder. Like, okay, Daddy, I want a game where I can make a city. And my first thought, of course, is SimCity. I'm like, oh, sure, play SimCity. But that's not really available anywhere. I think there's a SimCity 3000, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that's very good.
I don't know if it's any good. So is there a good city? And I don't want him he's expressed to play Minecraft, but that's not the same thing.
Okay.
I was going to say Minecraft, because when I hear a kid his age say I want a thing where I build a city, that's what I think of, is like that he wants to actually like build things brick by brick, like a Lego set.
Okay.
No, because But I think for him, because he actually does dig something like this more like, when he said he wanted to build the city, I forget what we were talking about, but I might have mentioned there was this game called SimCity when I was back in my day kind of thing. And his eyes lit up like, oh, like, what's that? And like, oh, you build a city, you have a population, and then houses come up, you build roads. And he's like, oh, can I get that for my computer? And I'm like, let me try, but like SimCity 3000 is out. Is there like a good city builder that be approachable for an 8-year-old? That they need to build a thing. Yeah.
For an 8-year-old, I have a couple suggestions. Maybe you can try out City Skylines. It's not too hard to play. You can avoid the sequel if you want. I bet the first one's still available and perfectly fine. Or if you want to try the sequel out, that would also be probably, it'd be fine. He's not gonna have like this thing doesn't perform at 60 frames per second, Dad. I hate it. Like he's not gonna have that. No. So
why aren't these people's teeth individually modeled?
Right. Yeah.
I know that was City Skyline 2's like weird thing that like is way too detailed.
Yeah. So that it's not too tough to get into, but it might get a little complicated. Like SimCity, the old SimCity games had a lot of that too, where like if you wanted to get into the nitty gritty, like you got into the nitty gritty in those.
Yeah, you could screw yourself really bad. I just think he'd enjoy that kind of virtual Lego playground.
Yes.
But something where that has a little more meat to it. Just knowing my kid.
And they have a mode where you can just turn all the bullshit off, and it's like you have infinite money and don't have to worry about anything, and just go crazy. I bet he'd love that.
I think he'd really dig that. Yeah. So City Skylines.
Yeah. The other one that is not so much a city builder, but Roller Coaster Tycoon. Because it's pretty similar. You're building a theme park. And you get to build all the little individual roller coasters and all that stuff. But like you're putting all the paths down, all the people visit your park.
I forgot about
when I was maybe a little older than him, I loved those games. I sat there and played the original Roller Coaster Tycoon for, I don't know, hours and hours, because I would just sit there.
Idea. Because he's not quite at the age of theme parks, but he loves roller coaster videos. That's one of the things we'll just sit there and watch first person roller coaster videos. And he's just waiting to get tall enough to actually ride on said roller coaster. And I can't wait to take him on said roller coasters. So I think he would actually really dig that.
If he wants a more updated version of it, I think I own this game. There's Planet Coaster, I know a younger child who does get into that, but when I played it, I was like, I think I'm too stupid for this. Because I just, it might also go into the fact that I don't have as much patience as I did. Planet Coaster was fine. There's also one on Steam that's a little bit, it's like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but maybe a little bit more updated, that I did get into, called Parkitect. That is pretty cool. So there's a lot of options for that kind of thing. But it's kind of along the lines of SimCity and stuff like that, but maybe like a little more lighthearted. And also like Roller Coaster Tycoon, if anything, if he gets bored, he can just start picking up people and dumping them in the rivers and drowning them, which was what I got entertained.
Fantastic. I have no problem with this virtually. Get that aggression out on the screen. It's because he does online learning, so he does online school. So next year he's going to be on the computer a lot. So I want him to build some mouse dexterity, and this will be an opportunity. When he expressed an interest, I'm trying to be more like my like my parents weren't. If he shows an interest, let him do the thing he's interested in. If it falls short, all right, then do something else.
I have kind of an off the wall one. That might not quite fit the bill, but I'm going to throw it out there. ActRaiser.
ActRaiser is pretty. That's a good one, because it's great. I love ActRaiser, and that's on the Switch. Virtual console,
and like city building stuff is like very simple, but it's also really engaging. And I know you've gotten him on like retro games and stuff like that. So like he's it's kind of in his wheelhouse. So that might be an option.
That might be a good option, just to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely was thinking computer, though, so he can build those mouse skills for when he's taking his online classes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, those are the ones I got. There's plenty of like those kind of games like still out there, and I remember when I was his age, I would have lost my mind for Roller Coaster Tycoon, and even when I was a little older than him, I loved Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah, I know a lot of people love that, so much. And that's I've never played it myself. I think that might be
throw it out there.
That's impressive to me, Bill, because like at 8, I don't think I would have like been able to wrap my head around something like that. And at 44, I don't know if I can wrap my head around something like that.
Yeah.
I promise, not a flex on my kid. He's almost too smart sometimes. Like, he reminds me too much of me when I was a kid. Just a smart ass, like a complete smart ass. And I get it as a dad. I'm like, don't be a smart ass. But my brain is like, Bill, you are a smart ass. This is you. You are seeing yourself in a mirror being just a smart ass kid. And it's like, damn it. Yeah. But anyway, those are good suggestions.
Yeah.
If I may break in from the news desk. I've a thing that I just saw, because I know you guys have been talking a lot about American Truck Simulator. And it's been intriguing me. It's been intriguing me. So I decided to take a look at it. Did you know American Truck Simulator is 75% off as of right now, and will be until March or May 30th.
Yeah, I did not know that because I own it and most of its DLC already. So yeah,
so I can pick up the Texas size bundle, which is all the Texas DLC, because Texas. I live in Texas.
Yeah, Texas. Yeah. You can drive around where you live. Yeah,
you should get that Nebraska DLC though.
Think?
Boy.
All right. I don't know. So is it worth $24.16?
Oh yeah, I love Truck Simulator.
I don't think Texas is worth $24.99.
Well, I mean, driving through it. I don't know. I think I might have to do
Depends.
This. You guys have sold me on this. You've sold me on this, Justin.
I love it. I find it very relaxing.
I need cozy games, and I feel like this would be a very cozy game.
If you like to like take a road trip and drive around, American Truck Simulator is actually fun. It takes a little getting used to, but like not as much as you might think. And it like actually feels like how you would think a truck would handle. I don't know how to explain it. It feels good to play it. Like somehow it works what it does. It's speaking of that, I did play that. I streamed it. I've been testing out streaming lately. I streamed it to all of like, I don't know, one person. Which was fun. I had a very good time with that. I drove through Nebraska. I complained the entire time, I'll have you all know. It was I
was really sad that there wasn't an archive because I wanted to see that.
Yeah. Well, sadly, I didn't realize I needed to record one myself because I'm stupid. And it was all learning for me. So I was like, okay, next time we'll have an archive. No problem. No worries. Worries because I still don't know what I'm doing. So I'll figure it out. But yeah, I was like, oh man, I guess that's gone forever. So if you were there, Philip,
you get the
Philip
joy.
was the only person that was there.
Philip.
And I don't know how long he was there for, but he was there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I drove through Nebraska. I complained about it the entire time. Like all of Route 80, this is the road I'm familiar with in that. It's like 20 minutes to go through all of Nebraska. I'm like, that's bullshit. That's an 8-hour drive. Fuck you. Like it's nothing. And I'm just sitting there looking on the side of the road. That's kind of the great part of Truck Simulator, though, is like you've made so much progress in such little time, especially when you know the drive and you're like, that is not how long that drive takes. There's no way. This is a long time.
It better not take me 20 minutes to get to Dallas from Austin.
Right. Exactly.
It better not.
Yeah. I love that about like Horizon Zero Dawn and Death Stranding, how you literally are walking across like most of the country in a map, but in a matter of days because it's like so truncated. I love it.
Yes. But like in Truck Simulator, it's even better because your whole thing is to get to a destination. That's all you're trying to do. So when you cross a state line, you're like, man, I've made so much progress. And it's like been 10 minutes and you've gone through a whole state or whatever.
I have a feeling this will replace my current cozy game, which has been my cozy game for years now, which is the coin game. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the coin game.
Oh no. What is the coin game?
The coin game is a game where you play, it's like you just go to classic arcades and play coin games in arcades. It's amazing.
Oh, okay.
It's wonderful. I just go, I have a little guy and I have a little bike. And the character lives in the greatest town in the country because there's like 8 arcades within like a square mile or 2 square miles of each other.
That'd be pretty good.
And I just go to the different arcades and I play skee ball and I play, bubble hockey and I play
remember that. Yeah.
ticket munching games. And I have it set to, Uncle Larry gave you $300. So I don't have to do anything for this. I just walk around and play. And it's so cozy and fun. Yeah. And it's great. I love coin games. So I need a different cozy game. I think this might be it.
Yeah, try it out. I can't guarantee you'll get into it. It's funny. I love making fun of all the people that work for me in it because you can hire, you can start expanding your business. You can be like, all right, I got Thomas up in here. He's got my old shitty truck now. Good luck, Thomas. It's a piece of garbage. and then you're just like, you get to spy on him. Like, where are they at? And it's like, oh, he's in Kansas. Huh? Sucks to be him. Well, it's fun. I enjoy that.
The price is right now. So if you're listening and if this comes up before the 30th, it's on sale until the 30th. So
there you go.
Pick up trucks.
Nice.
All right. Well, the Nebraska DLC, very accurate. There is nothing on the roads except in like 2 spots, which is Lincoln. It's funny. I remember on that stream, I told us there's something about that game that they captured just perfectly where like you'll pass a spot and you'll be like, damn, this is this spot. There was a spot in like Lincoln, Nebraska where I remember very distinctly. And I was like, this is the spot. I pulled off to the side of the road here and tried to take a nap while the sun was coming up and it blinded me and I could not sleep. And I just sat there and was like, well, I don't think I'm going to sleep for an entire day now. And I did an entire 26-hour drive in one fucking shot because I'm an insane person.
Oh, I've done that. I did that. I did that in 2017.
Yeah.
From San Francisco to Colorado Springs.
Yep. Hell yeah. It's fun. Then at a certain point in a drive like that, like I bet you can relate. At a certain point, you're just fucking wired. Like you're just wired.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane.
It comes
like
around. It comes back around. It's like you get so exhausted and then it just kind of comes back around to alert.
Yep.
Yeah. And I got to where, I got to where I was going and I was like, they were like, well, you got to be dying right now. And I'm like, no, man, I'm so aware of shit right now. It's crazy. You have no idea.
I'll tell you a quick story. I grew up in northern New Jersey. And for my first job out of college, I used to do a lot of driving around the state to go to different locations for the company I was working for. And so I did a lot of driving. And this one time I was driving, if you know anything about New Jersey, is I'm sure Mike Falk is just chortling as he hears this one, but he's probably the only one who gets the references. Garden State Parkway runs north and south in New Jersey. And I was going from where I used to live, which was in Bloomfield, which is right by Newark, New Jersey, northern, to down the shore, as we say, which is Point Pleasant. I was in like Point Pleasant area. And it's about an hour drive each way. So I had done that for 5 days straight. And on the 5th day, it was Friday. I was coming back up from the shore to Bloomfield. And I felt like the warmth of the air around me, right? The sun was coming. It was like 5 o'clock, the white noise. And I started doing the nodding off thing like that. We've all done it. Right? Next thing I know, last thing I remember, I was at exit 120, I would say. I woke up at exit 142. I have no idea how I got there. I was in some sort of weird sleep limbo. I'm sure it wasn't a sleep, obviously, but I had done that drive so much over the last week. I snapped awake. I was by exit 142, and Mike will get this reference. There's a giant McDonald's, like a rest stop area. I pulled into the McDonald's rest stop, and I slept for 3 hours. I just fell asleep for 3 hours. But I have no recollection of how I got from exit 120 to 142. And since it's a mile per exit, that is 20 miles of driving that I had no recollection of whatsoever. So,
Oh yeah.
And again, I know I wasn't asleep, but I was probably in some sort of weird limp.
I was gonna say usually that tends to be linked to like hypnosis.
Maybe I might have been. I don't know what state I was in.
It
was not a conscious one where I can remember anything. My hippocampus was not firing. No,
I'm not saying it was aliens. But it was aliens.
Okay, fair.
So that's my falling asleep at the behind the wheel story.
Yeah. And I finally the grand finale of all the things that I did over the course of the week. Something I was alluding to earlier. I played a game. It is called. Let me get the correct title here, just so I don't fuck it up. All right. It's very important that we get this right. Police Simulator, Patrol Officers. That is the full working title of the game.
Okay.
And I have discovered something about myself, and that is that sometimes I like a bad game more than I like a good game. It's just a fact about me that I get it. Slowly very becoming aware of the more I live my life. City Patrol, Police Simulator, City Patrol Officers, whatever it is. Let me tell you about this game. All right. So it's Police Simulator. You're the police. You're the cops. You start off, they're like, you gotta go give motherfuckers parking tickets. And I'm like, this is gonna be fucking hilarious. So I start walking around, and immediately I'm like, I watched the trailer on Steam. Like I was like, okay, this can't be any good. And I'm watching it, I'm like, this looks terrible, but in a way that I'm going to enjoy, and I feel like I need to buy this. So I did. It wasn't the cheapest game I've ever bought. It's probably something I should have waited for a sale on, but I was bored out of my fucking mind. So I paid like $30 for this thing. I don't care. I have gotten my money's worth and much more. I am very happy with Police Simulator, let me tell you. But anyway, you're walking around, you're giving people parking tickets your first day. And sometimes, a motherfucker will throw a goddamn cup on the ground. And you gotta be like, yo, man, can't be doing that shit. And I've also learned that I should not be a police officer for any reason. At all.
Really?
No.
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. The jury's still out.
Justin failed the Stanford prison experiment.
Oh man, my favorite thing that I've done so far. So okay, I started off with one character because there's multiple different characters you can pick. Right? There's like they have a blonde lady. There's an Asian girl. There's a black girl. There's a Mexican girl. All the racial things are there. And then this is the same for the guys
right there.
We have yes. That's it. That's it.
Got it covered.
Everything's covered in both genders too. We're covered. There's nothing else we need to do here. Everybody's represented. Shut up. And so I started off as the blonde girl because I was like, all right, I'm probably only going to play this for a little bit and then laugh about it and then turn it off. And I start playing and I'm like, I'm getting way too into giving motherfuckers parking tickets because I'm just walking up to people. I'm like, motherfucker, you on the sidewalk? What are you doing? You can't be doing that. And I charge them and give them a ticket. And then like somebody a litter. And my favorite thing that happened was I eventually ditched the blonde girl because I was like, okay, this other dude is hilarious and I have plans for this fucking game. So I need to be off.
Is there a point to the different characters? Are they like different points of view in the game?
No, they have different voice actors. The guy who I picked is voiced by DC Douglas, the voice actor for Legion in Mass Effect. DC Douglas has done a lot of legit fucking shit. Okay. And I'm like, I was like, okay, because as soon as I'm like, this guy sounds like fucking Commander Shepard. There's no way they got that guy, right? Like, I know they didn't get him. But he sounds like him, and it's just the tone of voice that they're using, and I'm like, who the fuck is the voice actor here? Like, I gotta know. It's probably somebody I never heard of. And I looked it up, and I'm like, I know that name. I don't know how I know it, but I know it. And I start going through. I'm like, yeah, that's the character I remember. Okay, all right, wow, okay. Interesting. And so I switched to Officer Frank Miller because that's also funny to me. That his name is Frank Miller. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, this is going to be great. So first day, they start you off slow. You have to walk around giving people parking tickets, but also sometimes somebody will litter, and you're like, okay, you can stop them and talk to them. And then like what happens is, and this makes me terrified of police officers even more, because one of the ways that you're allowed to search people without it counting against your score is if they start acting nervous. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's good to know because I'm terrified of police, right?
Yeah, me too.
So if they start acting nervous, you can search them. So this person acts nervous around me, and I'm like, all right, well, search time. This is the game. We got to search them, right? All right. So I searched them, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think I said, turn around. I have to search you. And they're like, no. And they took off running. And I was like, oh shit. It's like, this is crazy. So I took off running after them. Cause in the trailer, I distinctly remember, I was like, oh, if you catch up to them, it'll tackle them. Yeah. And so I caught up to them, and I can't figure out how to tackle them because I don't know the buttons. Even though I've played for a good amount of time so far, I've never had somebody run on me. This is the first time. So I'm chasing after them, and I'm like, what do I have at my disposal? Well, I have a gun. I could.
Here we go.
The game, when the first time you pull out the gun, it's usually on accident because you're trying to figure out what the buttons are, and it will just pull it out, and then the game will go, yo, don't you be using that fucking gun. Don't you do it. And I'm like, okay, I won't shoot the gun. I'm sorry. They were like, you will be fired if you fuck that up. And I'm like, okay, fair.
Oh, so this is a very inaccurate police simulator.
Yes, very, very inaccurate.
Fictional world.
Absolutely. But so I was like, okay, put the gun away. But then it teaches you about like the toolbar, and I remember going through it. I was like, I have a stun gun on hand, and so I'm chasing after this person, and they're running like a crazy individual, like an AI would, just all over the place. And so I'm like, well, I don't know how to tackle them, but I bet I can shoot them with a fucking stun gun. And so I did. And they just like, they did that like great ragdoll thing where they just, the body just dies. And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. And then they got back up and it was totally fine. They were like, I'm okay now. It's okay. No big deal. You got me. I was like, you're right. I did. I can't remember
with power immediately.
Yes.
Well, I did.
Well, he was just using the tools at his disposal. I had
to stop him.
He had to get the collar.
To be fair, I didn't lose my morality points, Julian. That never went down.
Oh, it's fine then. Yeah.
Yeah, totally fine. I can shoot them with a stun gun if they run. That's how that works.
I mean, there must be a reason, I guess.
Yeah. I
stun first, ask questions later.
If they would have interviewed me and asked me, why did you use the stun gun? I'm like, well, you never taught me the button to tackle anybody. So that's
I thought it was an auto tackle. I just watched that trailer as you were just starting the conversation. That looks like delightful jank. That it looks like
delightful jank.
There is a place in this world for delightful jank.
Yes.
And I'm very glad.
Yes.
I'm disheartened that the most recent reviews are mixed. But I'm heartened that.
Okay. I need to read one of those if I can, but I'll keep telling stories about this. Yeah. So yes, it is delightful jank, but it actually feels better than you probably think it does to play. It actually is not the worst thing in the world. Like it's like this plays like a video game. It's fine. Like that's
for full
totally
disclosure.
Okay.
This is one of the games that we were looking at when we were trying to find bad games to nominate for the Suffer Select, and we were like, no, that looks too good.
No. This isn't. We were looking at city patrol officers or something like that. It was a different game.
But I remember, I feel like we watched that trailer because I remember the tackle thing. Like
you might be right, and I think we came to the conclusion that this one looked too good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And we were right. It's too good. I'm glad. But like I said, it was in like the top selling stuff like that, right? And I was like, okay, I can't help it. I got to do it. So I'm at the Steam review now, and it's the top review, and this is the one that sold me on the game. And I just want to read the one paragraph where I was like, okay, you can stop now. I'm sold. It only took one thing, and it's this paragraph. Out of the 10 police vehicles in the game, 7 of which are locked behind DLC, only 4 are actually accurate to U.S. police, and none of the 10 are the Ford Explorer. Instead, you get a Toyota RAV4 and a smart car. And I was like, I'm sold. That's all you needed to mention was the Toyota RAV4. That's it. That's all I wanted. I'm super in now. I don't want accuracy, sir. I want a Toyota RAV4. That's what I want. That's all I need. So you know,
This looks like lovable jank.
It is.
I have a real heart for games, and I think it's maybe a getting older situation that is made with care, regardless of the outcome. It's kind of like camp. Like camp is great because I feel like camp is when you try to do something really well and it doesn't work out, but there's a charm because you tried hard, right? You worked at it. It's not bad. It's just failed. There's a difference, right? Between bad and a failure. And this just seems like someone worked hard on this.
Somebody did.
And it seems like it seems delightful.
And they're still working on it. There's a DLC coming out that adds the highway patrol aspect. And I'm like, I'm super fucking in. Let's go. How many hours have I put into this so far? It's a good chunk. Let's see. I am. Oh, it won't tell me now. 10 hours, 10.6 hours.
Oh, okay, that's a good.
Something. Yeah.
That's a solid. That's not Justin Ham numbers, but that's
no. It's
normal human gamer numbers.
Yes, absolutely. My reasoning has been I'm definitely going to stream this tomorrow. Like this, it's going to be too late for everybody who's listening to this podcast to see this. But I will put it somewhere, and I will try to goddamn archive it for anybody who misses it. but it's going to happen. The journey of Frank Miller must be documented.
I just got to say real quick, like going back to your Chase story, like, you know, my feelings towards police are very different now than they were, but there was a time when I was super into the Shield. And like one of my favorite lines, I think it's actually in the first episode or one of the first episodes, is when a perp starts running and Vic Mackey says, "Don't make me run, asshole!" Like that. That is like one of my favorite, like, you know, TV cop lines.
Right. Yeah. So most of the game is like you once you get the car, it really kind of it's like, okay, now we're fucking police simulating.
Yeah,
now we're
we
doing
can profile
the thing.
people.
Now we're fucking pulling people over and pulling them out of the car for being drunk and shit, and that. Once you get the ability to if you stop somebody on the street, you can look at their ID and then you can run it through the computer and see what crimes they've committed. And the random generation in this shit is one of my favorite things in the fucking world.
Man.
And this is where the money laundering thing come on. Do you know how many people in the fucking world of that game have been arrested for money laundering and are just out on the streets? And you just stop and you're like, money laundering? What? How? What did you do? It'll be like some 20-year-old blonde girl, and it's like, how are you here? I don't understand.
You've already got time for this?
Like a money laundering ring got busted, so there's multiple people in the ring. So,
but none of them are good at it because they've all been caught. Else they wouldn't have a record. So this is a town of people who are terrible at the game of money laundering.
Full of crime, and they're constantly crashing into each other, like right behind you. Even like there's times where you're just stopped at a stoplight and you just watch somebody just blow through the stoplight, and you're like, dude, I'm right fucking here. Like, what did you think was going to happen? And then my favorite thing, and this is like this, I totally understand the police mentality here, because there's a point where you just start going, oh man, if you weren't such a dick right now, I can't wait to fucking write this ticket. Because they're like, I'll start role playing. This is the one game where I'll start fucking role playing, where I'm just like, I pull somebody over and I'm like, okay, I'm reading their plate. I'm like looking at what they got. I'm like, all right, listen, they ain't done nothing. They got everything's on the up and up. We're just gonna pull them. We pulled them over already. We're just gonna give them a nice little verbal warning. We'll send them on our way. And you'd be like, I pulled you over because you blew through a red light back there. And like and they basically give you the equivalent of like, well, fuck you. Like, and you're like, and it's not that because of this, right. It's for kids or whatever.
Sure.
But you're like. Okay, well, you know what? Now I'm gonna fucking give you the ticket. It was now this is happening because fuck you. Oh man, it's fantastic. You get to like an accident scene, and people and the big thing is like, go interview the people that were in the accident to find out what happened, and nobody knows what happened. They're just like, I don't know, officer. It all happened so fast, and I'm like. One of you has to know what car hit the other one. It's just like my mind. Your interview is like, these interviews are useless. You just like every single person is like, my mind's a blank, officer. I don't know. Like, oh Jesus Christ, give me something. Like, so you just take.
That sounds maddening and a joy.
It's phenomenal.
That sounds
great. Phenomenal. It's great. It's only crashed on me one time. And it was kind of funny when it did. I can't remember how it did it. It was just out of nowhere. It was just like, oh yeah, it's crashing. And it's like, okay, well at least you politely told me with a pop-up on the screen. That's nice. But good. The jankiness is great. Sometimes like some people will like cars will just like kind of appear sometimes, and that's always fun. One time sometimes people are just standing on other people. Things like that. It's great. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
I love when, and apology for going, I know on the show, I don't think there's a way to go long. I don't think you can go long on this show.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
I love, just a side note, I love when games have hilarious jank. I know people get annoyed when games clip or when, again, I play Fallout, so the game's constantly broken. It's just a mess. I love when characters like jump on each other or clip through walls. For me, there's something very fun about a game that, because I think it's unique to gaming.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't happen in a movie because they cut that part of the movie.
Right.
But it doesn't happen in a song. They cut that part of the song.
Right.
Maybe if you go to like a live performance, maybe they hit a wrong note. But when you play a game, you could have a car just crash into each other and just go right through each other.
Yep.
And that's wonderful. And I don't know why anyone would complain about video game jank, because I think it's very charming and good, unless it kills my progress.
Yeah.
Then
it gets bad. Yeah.
That's when it's bad. But if it's just,
I agree.
I remember one time I was playing Fallout. I was in New Vegas probably, and a rad scorpion just got stuck in a rock. And it was just stuck in a rock. But I couldn't shoot it because it was stuck in the rock. But every once in a while, its little pincher would come out, and I would be able to shoot his little pincher and take a little bit off. So I spent 5 minutes just sitting there. Pink. Every time it was like a little mini game inside the game.
Yeah.
It's great. This is awesome. This is so good and fun.
Yeah. This is full of that.
I love it.
I don't complain about the jank. I think my issue is specifically with Bethesda in the sense that they get, up until very recently, it was like a badge of honor for them. It was like, oh, I love how, charmingly janky these Bethesda games are. And it's like, yeah, but every single one is, and they don't get better at it. Like, you would expect them to get better at it. And why aren't you like taking them to task for not improving on this? And then finally it took like Fallout 76 for people to be like, you know what? They're just not improving on the, like, they're not, the jank is getting worse. It's not getting better.
Yeah.
And it's like, but yeah, like that was my thing over the years. Like, it doesn't bother me most of the time. And sometimes I like highly enjoy it. Like Elden Ring has like really good moments of that where like, enemies will ragdoll in a certain way, like after they die. It's just like so funny. Oh,
the ragdoll's fantastic.
Great.
Yeah.
It's great.
My favorite detail of just the level of quality that the game has is Officer Frank Miller has a very, very noticeable hole in the back of his collar. Where his uniform is just clipping through his skin. Right. And he is the main character that you can see this hole very, very obviously, and they just left it like that. And I'm like, I respect this. I respect it.
Amazing.
It's a great game. I've been saving a lot. Like, I would probably have played more of it, but I'm saving it for streaming.
For the stream.
Yes.
What's the name of the game again? In case people are interested.
Police Simulator, Patrol Officers.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Game. It really does, Julian. It really does. I can't wait to share the world of Frank Miller with everyone soon. It's great. I haven't unlocked the Toyota RAV4. I'm hoping to do that on a stream or something. That would be great. But yeah. That's been my week.
There is an urban terrain vehicle DLC.
Yes, there's a couple DLCs, but I was like, I didn't pull the trigger on those.
Yeah.
Because, I wasn't sure if it, but and also the Toyota RAV4 was not a DLC. I would have bought that in a heartbeat. If one of them would have been a Chrysler Sebring convertible, Julian.
Well,
forget it.
Yeah.
Gotta have the Sebring.
Especially if it's a limited edition.
Yeah. Especially if it's limited. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's my away from that's my I'll be back picture for when I stream is the Chrysler Sebring convertible.
Doing it right.
Yeah,
nice.
that's the best way to do it.
Classy.
Yeah.
Classy.
Yeah. Streaming is really dumb. It's easier than you think it is. It's crazy. Like, you get on, you're like, oh, this shouldn't be this easy. This should be hard to do, actually, but it's not. And then you're like everything. I'm like, man, I wonder how they do that. These fucking wizards. I don't know what kind of magic they're doing. And then you get on there like, oh, that's it. That's all you. What the fuck?
Well, to be fair, I think the basic, like, just get on and do a live stream and don't worry about it and you're done is really easy. But I think every bit of complexity you add to it, that's where things start to break, right?
True.
So if you're trying to record your gameplay or record your local audio or both, and that, like, do all of that stuff, that, because I definitely follow people who are like small time streamers where they're like, they're like, gonna stream tonight. And then like 30 minutes later, it's like stream canceled. Like everything broke, right? And
Everything's
it's like, I
breaking.
just see that constantly. So yeah.
Very true. Very true. But
now
I'm entertained.
And I have been getting into it more just from the VTuber side, which I still don't understand how that works.
That's wizardry. That's magic, and I don't approve of it.
It's an alchemy that I don't understand.
Yeah,
and
no,
it's
shouldn't
odd.
be able to do it.
I think it's cool people do it, and it's neat. It's cool, but it's just there's a weird
too.
There's just a weird uncanny valley, not uncanny valley, but it's just there's an abstraction that's just weird for me. I don't know. Again, not saying it's bad or anything. It's just it's. I don't know.
For me, I'm just fascinated by the tech because I'm like,
I know,
what? Yeah. Like, how are you plugged into this character? Like, what's going on? Because not all VTuber models are the same, right? Like, some are like very basic and don't have much movement. Some are like super animated. Some are 3D and like they're actually moving their fingers and stuff like that. And like, there's this one VTuber named Fillion who she's doing all these backflips and rolls in her room and stuff. And like, I'm like, how are you doing that? Like, I know you're plugged into something, but like, it's amazing. Well, one last thing before we get out of here, guys. We do have a segment called Questions, Comments, and Concerns. And you can send those to us via email. Our email is thestageselectpod@gmail.com. There's also a channel in our Discord, which you can find in the link tree in the show notes. Also, in a second, if you know me personally, you can also just hit me up, which we'll get to in a bit. But real quick, before we get into the actual like big question that I had that I saved for Bill, we did get a courtesy email from a friend of the show, Mike Fallick.
Oh boy.
Who says, I don't talk about this, but I feel it is time. I have been working for Sherwin-Williams' brother Herwin in order to, he's been working with Sherwin-Williams' brother Herwin. In order to protect my friends Justin and Julian, I recorded his office. Please stage select, stay safe.
Oh man.
And so I will lay that audio in here.
Fucking stage select. Making fun of my brother. No one insults Sherwin-Williams, and no one insults Herwin-Williams. What are you, everybody always making fun of us? Do paint magnates. Hate them. Give me that bucket. Yes, that bucket. Where I store my loogies. Yeah. You want to mess with Sherwin, you get the Herwin. What do you think? What people think that because we got names that aren't names? Oh, it should be Herman. Should be Sherman. Fuck you. I'll fucking kill you. I'll fucking drown you in yellow. A little bit red in there. Orange dip. Anyone that wants to tell Herwin his name's not a real name. I'm gonna do some cocaine and call Sherwin how angry I am. Love doing cocaine out of a fleshlight. It's not the best way to do cocaine. I mean, it's the worst way. It's not great. What's wrong with? Oh yeah, it's two brothers who want to sell people slime that they can put on your walls and make them different colors. Everybody like picking on me and my brother. You don't pick on me and my brother. Sherwin's a terrible name. Sherwin's not a name. Sherman's the name. Herman's the name. What? It's not. Oh, there's a mosquito in here. Give me that gun. There's a fucking mosquito. Get all ye. Suck my blood. Oh, mosquito brown. Yeah, that's why they pay you the money, Herwin. Yeah, Sherman's got all the business sense. Oh, but they pay Herman for the names. Oh, no, you don't have to tell anyone you go by Herman in private. That's a little secret name. Yeah, you can call me Herwin, but I got a real name in private, buddy, and it's called Mosquito Brown, and my name's making fun of my brother. My brother once put his dick inside of one of those pig can shaker things for an hour. He was still hard. You can't fuck a pink can shaky thingy like my brother can. Yeah, it's me, Herwin. Want to order some chicken? The good kind. Yeah, the type I ordered last time. I don't care if you don't remember me. This KFC, right? I ordered from there before. Give me the same chicken I got before. That same chicken. Sure. That doesn't sound like chicken. Is mashed potatoes a chicken? Whatever. Can you work it into it? Just squeeze it into it. Knead it into it. I don't care if you don't do it. Put on some gloves. Herwin Williams wants his mashed chicken. Now get those stage select nerds. I'm gonna send my goons after them. The tough boys. Come here, tough boys. Chartreuse. Puce. Cuse. You're gonna go after them. Give them everything we got. The little sticks. Use the sticks. I guess that's all we got. The thin wooden sticks. Yeah, I know, but it keeps us out of legal trouble. You beat the shit out of somebody with a little wooden stick. They don't really complain. I don't know when I'll have real jobs for you. What can you do? Accountant? Why would a paint company need an accountant? How do you even count paint? Milliliters?
Justin already heard it, Bill.
I didn't know that I'm pretty close with Sherwin. I mean, we're buds. We hang out sometimes. I met the Dutch boy. He's kind. And I didn't know that Sherwin had a brother, so this is kind of wild,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Very threatening, also. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that.
Menacing.
Like, I've really enjoyed my interactions with Sherwin. Like, he seems like a pretty cool dude as long as you don't get him riled up. Yeah. Herwin, on the other hand, just seems like a kind of a loose cannon. So
he's a loose cannon.
A little wild card, a little bit wild card.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that, but perhaps listeners will have questions to Sherwin about his brother Herwin.
Yeah, it's possible.
Time will tell. But as I said, if you know me personally, you can just hit me up for something that we will discuss on the show, like my work friend Kale did, who says, got another question for the show. What percentage of games that you play do you finish the story of? What percentage do you platinum? Why or why not? And Bill, I thought this would be a great question for you because of, the project that you have undertaken over the last few years, right?
Yes.
Like, probably doesn't lead you to the ability to finish a lot of games, but the last time that you finished a big game, we actually did a whole podcast about it, right?
Yeah. I find myself with the podcast. I'm playing games I usually play a game for a reason, which is different than just playing a game for fun. And I'm trying to balance that out a little bit more, where I'm just playing like American Truck Simulator. I want to just play that for fun. I don't want to write anything about it or record a thing about it.
Right.
But so I think the percentage of games that I play and finish is probably pretty high. I am not a platinum person, though. Once I'm done,
me neither.
I'm done.
Yep.
I have no interest in trophies. I don't need to find every little nook and cranny. Once I'm done, once I roll credits, I'm usually pretty done. It's very rare when a game gets me to the point where I want to dive in a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a platinum person at all. So I never really platinum, but I usually finish probably, it's like 65%, maybe my number, like 65%.
Yeah.
Because there are games that I just will start and this is just, like Deathloop, for example. I started it and just bounced off whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's also games I've played for, I was going to ask you guys what your forever games are. If you have any forever games that you play hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. Because I glanced at my Steam library the other day. I'm like, this game, how many hours I played? And it was at 485 hours. And I don't know where that time went. Because I've been playing this game for probably 5 years. It's Hades Star. Have you ever heard of this? It's like a... okay, no one's ever heard of this game. I don't know how to... I'm not good at... I don't do reviews on my show. I can't explain things. I'm not that smart. But I will attempt to. It's a space game where you build like a little fleet, an armada of ships. You have your own little sector. And the idea is that you take your little ships and you go into these red stars to fight aliens. But it's kind of like an RTS where it's all grid based. So
sort of like a 4X type thing.
Kinda, yeah. If it's a game,
maybe minus a 4 or 2.
Yeah, minus a 4 or 2.
Maybe minus an X or 2.
And there's a very deep economy where you have to build up space stations to build more ships, and then you have like mining, and you go to different shipments for your different planets. And the idea is you build the star system, and inevitably you join a corporation, which is a public group. And the corporation is like you go on these large, week-long battles that literally take a week, called White Stars. And I've been playing this game for 438 hours because my friend 5 years ago was like, "Hey, Bill, I have some friends who are playing this game, Hades Star. It's an online game. Do you want to join up?" And I'm not an online player. I don't.
Okay, I was going to say this sounds a lot like EVE Online.
It's got an EVE Online vibe to it. Yes, it has like an EVE thing going on. And they're like, "Oh, do you want to join my corporation? It might be fun." I'm like, I'm not much of a. I'm not an online game player. I don't do that. I don't want to be beholden to times. Like I don't want to have to sit down and play now. Like that's not fun for me. But for some reason I said okay, and I started playing this game, and 438 hours later, combined Steam and mobile, it's mostly mobile.
It'll sneak up on you.
I was like, I've played over 400 hours of Hades Star, and it's a decent game. It's neat. It's
oh
neat,
yeah.
But to answer the main question, I don't do that with a lot of games. That is very rare for me. I'm usually on to the next one, the next story, next experience.
Yeah.
Justin, how about you?
I go back and forth a lot. He had me curious when he said that amount. I was like, I have 1,117 hours in Skyrim, and that's just the original Skyrim. Wow. Special edition, it's like 501, and also this is only on PC.
Okay.
An uncountable number of hours because I'm not installing the EA app right now in Sims 4. But I know it was well into the thousands when the last time I played it, and then I played it for a couple months straight, so it's probably even more than that now. I'm definitely got a couple forever games like that. But when it comes to like stories and stuff, I'm pretty much same as Bill. Like I don't 100% anything. I will roll credits and see the things I want to see, and I'm pretty much done with that game, and I move on along.
You're really interesting because of the games that you're interested in finishing, you finish 100% of them.
Yeah.
But you are very quick to say, I don't want to finish this and just stop, right?
Yep. I'll stop in the middle of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one thing, like I'll get into mine in a little bit, but that is something that has changed over the years for me, where I have become more comfortable with walking away from a game, where I'm like, I'm not enjoying this. I don't need to finish this.
There comes a point where, and most of the time I don't do it on purpose. Most of the time what happens is I'll be, sitting down and playing it, and it kind of like almost like, yeah, I need to finish this. I started it up. I paid the money for it. We're gonna enjoy this goddamn ride. And then I start playing it, and then I'll be like, I'm not sure if I'm having that much fun with it, but we'll see where it goes tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, and I go, I don't really want to turn it on. And so it just, and then that becomes the next day and the next day, or it kind of is sort of like that procrastination thing where you start putting it off one day. Like, I'll get to that tomorrow. Well, it starts to feel more like a job that you're doing than an actual thing you're having fun with. Yeah. And then eventually I realized, like, I'm never going back to that. I'm not having fun. That game is done. It's over with for me. I hate to say I'm doing that right now with fucking Rebirth, but it feels that way. Like where it's just like, I'm not sure I'm having fun with that game. And like, it's not that it's bad or anything. It's just, I'm not fully convinced. And I feel like if I go back, it's going to be a job. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I'm going to go back to it or not, but
it might take me like finishing it and being like, yo, Justin, no, seriously, you need to finish it. Like,
yeah, but also I could just go look it up on YouTube and see the things I want to see, like, and that's the thing I've been thinking about, where I'm just like, maybe I don't play this one. Maybe I just watch somebody else play it and see the story for it. And I played what I played, and that's fine, because like, I don't know if I want to do it.
Sure.
Yeah, when it comes to 100%ing, I almost never do. Julian, I drove Julian insane because I was like inches away from getting the Persona 5
Royal
Royal
All
Platinum.
he had to do was kill one enemy.
Oh, wow.
No, I don't want to. Yeah, I was done. It was okay.
Good for you.
Julian is making that sound. It was like a big boss fight.
Yeah,
like it was
the Grim Reaper. Yeah, in Mementos, if you stay on a floor too long, but like, what? Once you're at that level, like, he's not that bad.
No, I know that. I still don't want to do it. I was done.
And then,
I wanted to
Justin
move on.
Hit his trophies on his profile, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes, I did. I sure did.
I like to compare trophies with my friends because it lets me know, like, where we're at, like, in the same game comparatively, right? Like,
I get it.
So for me, I would say these days, yeah, I'm right around where you guys are. It's probably around like 60-ish%. Well, Justin, again, it's more of 100% of the games that he's actually interested in, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it's actually of the games that I'm interested in, like that's about what I end up finishing, right? Like, because of a bunch of different reasons. A big reason, honestly, is the podcast. Because
a big thing for me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, back in my retail days, it was closer to like 85, 90%.
Right.
Even though I was buying like a new game almost weekly, because there was very much like a culture in the staff of like, finish your games. Like, Jim, the assistant manager, gave me shit for months because I hadn't finished Tomb Raider 2. Like, he would just like I would be talking about this game and he's like, yeah, but did you finish Tomb Raider 2 yet? And I was like, but this... And he's like, yeah, but Tomb Raider 2 though. Like, just like constantly like, and finally I was like, I finished Tomb Raider 2. Are you happy? He's like, yes, I am. Now you have permission to play more games.
Right.
But that dropped precipitously, as I started podcasting for a lot of reasons. Podcasting takes a lot of time, right? We've been sitting here for over 3 hours, and then I'm going to spend 6+ hours editing this, right?
Yeah.
And then also, there's definitely an impetus to try things, to have something new to bring to the table, especially now that we are a weekly show and not a bi-weekly show. It's like, I think there's definitely a lot, you can get more out of talking about the same game, as you're progressing through it. And, I think some listeners really enjoy that. But as a podcast listener, like sometimes I'm like, all right, like you guys didn't really have anything new to say about this game, so I don't know why you brought it up this week, right? Like, unless you have something meaningful to really bring to the table, I don't know why you mentioned it. And so I'm very cognizant of that. So like I try to have like, at least something new to bring to the table every week.
Yeah.
Or at least something new to say about a previous game. As far as like platinuming or getting like all the achievements, it depends on the game, and usually it's an indicator of how much I enjoyed the game. Like, if I loved the game so much that I want to like wring every bit of enjoyment out of it, then I might go for them. Also, it depends on how good the actual trophies or achievements are. So like I got mad at Elden Ring the other day because I was watching a YouTube video where it was one of those things where they were pitting like regular enemies against bosses and seeing who would come out on top. And I saw 2 bosses that I'd never even heard of before. And I know that they seemed like major bosses, like they seemed like big effing deals. And I was like, why aren't there trophies attached to those? I didn't even know these existed until just now. I have the platinum in this game. And
do you remember what they were called? I'm just curious.
They're 2 dragons, and one of them I know you talked about on a music episode because I still haven't found it, and I finally looked it up. It's you have to finish Fee's quest, the Deathbed Companion.
Yeah. That one's really cool. Yeah,
I thought I finished her quest, but like the guide that I was using didn't say anything about this boss, and
you have to go into the I forget what, the dream or whatever.
Yeah, you have to go inspect her again, like after she dies, and it's like I hadn't. Yeah, so there's that, and there's another dragon, and I don't remember the name of it, and I didn't look up how to find it, but at the same time, it's also kind of a cool thing about Elden Ring because like I'm on my 3rd full playthrough and like I'm still finding new stuff. Like I've gone through dungeons I've never seen before. I've fought bosses I've never seen before. So like, that's kind of neat. There's still regular enemies in that game that I've never killed. I refuse. I am too scared of the giant lobsters. I refuse to fight them.
Oh, those things
run
are crazy.
Every time.
Yeah, those things are crazy. You're allowed. They are insane.
Yeah. But a big thing, over the course of my podcasting career has been to be comfortable with walking away from a game for a multitude of reasons. A lot of times it's because something new and shiny comes out and I move on to that. But more times than not, it's because it's like, I don't think I'm enjoying this enough to like give it the time. And so I'm fine like leaving it here, because it gives me the time to then, like, the games that I really care about, like, go through them, right?
Yep.
Now, I can tell you, already, like, things are changing with the stage select simply because I'm much more cognizant of Game of the Year because we're doing Game of the Year bigger than we've ever done it before. And so I'm like, no, I gotta finish these games, or at least play enough of them to be able to talk about them confidently when we're starting to sort and rank and stuff like that. But that also is very fun. And it's, I'm going out of my way to try, certain things that just look interesting for that purpose. So,
yep.
But yeah, thank you, Kale. And thank you, Bill. I think that's the show.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoying what you guys are doing here. I've told Julian this off air, and I'll say it again. I really love what you guys are doing on this show.
Thank you.
It's fun. It's free flowing, but the bits are great. It's brought back memories of 311, which not the most pleasant thing in the world, but
it
still
happens. It happens to us all.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes, friction makes things a little better. Sometimes it's just need that little edge to sharpen you. But guys, this was a lot of fun.
It's always a pleasure to have you on, man.
Yeah, really good stuff. And then Justin, like I said, the invite is open for Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, absolutely,
do it.
Hit me up. I'm down.
We'll do.
Yeah.
All right.
And Bill, where can they find you? I mean, obviously we'll have links to the show and everything in the show notes, but where can they find you to interact with you and all that good stuff?
Yeah, my main social media is Twitter. So a gamer looks at 40 on Twitter is mainly where I do my social media posting, but I do post the occasional TikTok like the young kids, and a gamer looks at 40.com is where you can find all my everything. I'm so glad I just can say one thing. Just go there, and everything you could possibly want is right there. So a gamer looks at 40.com. Go there and check out the stuff.
Excellent. Yeah. Definitely do it, guys. Like I've said it over, on the old show, definitely. But, and I've mentioned, the Final Fantasy series as it's been coming out, but it's a very interesting listen. So go check it out and give Bill some love. Justin, how about you?
You can find me on twitter.com at Tyrone_Swift. You can now find me on twitch.tv/Tyrone Swift, all one word.
Gonna have to add that to the link tree.
Yep, fucking throw it in there. My plan is to start streaming on Saturdays. I'm not sure what I don't have a schedule yet, and Twitch keeps yelling at me about it for some reason. They're just like, you need to make a schedule or people are gonna get mad. I'm like, dude, I only streamed once. Calm the fuck down. God damn. Give me a second.
I loved how you were saying that streaming is easy, but I think one thing is that you're kind of just naturally predisposed to streaming.
I realized something about myself when I was driving through Nebraska and nothing was happening, and it is that I can talk to myself for hours. I don't need anybody to even fucking watch me do it. I'll just sit there and complain to myself about Nebraska. Yeah. I don't need you to watch me.
I just yell
if you want to, have fun. Yeah. So, yep, that's going to happen. I'm going to stream police simulator patrol officers. It'll have already happened by the time you listen to this. But listen, I already have it planned that by the one that will come after you listen to this episode, it is going to be My Destiny Girls, which is the other Chinese dating simulator, the FMV one that I have not played. So that is going to happen. So stay tuned for My Destiny Girls. It might be terrible. Yeah.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus. You can also find me on Blue Sky, just Julian Titus. The show is on Twitter at Stage Select Pod. And thanks as always to Megan McDuffie for our incredible theme song and interstitial music. Thanks to friend of the show, John Gholson, for our logo artwork and being our show announcer. But that's going to do it for this edition of the Stage Select. I've been Julian Titus. He's been Justin Ham. Special thanks to Bill Tucker. We've been the Stage Select. Signing off.
The Stage Select is copyrighted and owned by Space Monkey Mafia Productions, specializing in like independent podcasting, please consider sharing the show with your friends and support us by joining our Patreon or donating to our coffee. Thank you, and good night.